Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 7:02 p.m. I'd like to go ahead and start this meeting. The Board of Aldermen of the City of Brookshire will conduct a regular meeting on Thursday, June the 2nd, 2022, at 7 o'clock p.m. in the council chambers of the Brookshire Municipal Building located at 4029 Fifth Street. We have anyone wish to give us a prayer before we start? Come on.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come together tonight, Father, we ask you that you just grant us with your wisdom. Father, we ask that you help us to make all the right decisions for the citizens of the city of Brookshire. We ask that you bless this town and as well as the state of Texas. We thank you for all that you do for us, and we ask all of this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Branch.
I bought this one. They didn't give us none today. Rodney, you have extra pens over there?
They're behind you. The top.
Here's another one too.
The top.
It's best under.
There you go.
Thank
I got you one.
That's okay, Kim. Ms. Branch. Mr. Rodney, can you call us to order, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Branch,
Here.
Alderwoman Taylor,
Here.
Alderwoman Branch,
Here.
Alderman Stamps,
Present.
Alderwoman Nurendorf,
Present.
Alderman Hill.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. And we'll move to agenda item number 3. Mr. Phillips, is there anyone? None? You want to speak?
Now, I know y'all got on
Hold
the,
on. First, state your name, please.
Reginald Brown.
Thank you.
Okay, I know y'all have on the agenda where the mayor and, Mayor Pro Tem is already here. Now, y'all don't need, that's way too much money to spend. For like, APAC radio, them things are hot out, and y'all don't need that. And then actually with Mr. Hill, he wants because he wants to be known. So he don't need one. He gonna go post it. There's one on the bush, he gonna put it on his page. He don't need one. Nobody needs one. But Phillips and his officers, that's it. The mayor don't need one because the city of Katy mayor does not have a radio. The city of Houston mayor does not have a radio. So Brookshire mayor and the mayor pro tem does not need a radio. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? We're going to skip agenda item number 4 for now, and we're going on to agenda item number 18. Item 18 is presentation with discussion and possible action for online payments provided for the court. Ms. Branch.
Mayor, I asked Leah she was coming, she's had a family emergency and was not able to be here, but she's online for a presentation. We've asked for online payments. I've personally asked since August 2019. I hate Miss Green's not here tonight. We've signed a contract that I believe everybody has for the amount of $900. There's Miss Green. Maybe Miss Green can answer the question. of $900, and this was signed in July 2020. We have continued to ask for online payments. After the last city council meeting, Ms. Green contacted the mayor, and I have a copy of the email that I put at everybody's desk that said she has been diligently working on it. 2 years later, she says that it's set up. I don't know if anybody knows that it's set up. I don't know how she figures that people are going to magically go on our city website to see that there is a link. And I'm asking the council tonight to disregard Tyler Technologies' contract that Ms. Green set up after the fact of the last city council meeting, and to go with online payments. And Ms. Leah is online to give a presentation. Leah, can
All right. Hello. Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, City Council, city leaders, and any citizens of Brookshire. It is really my pleasure to share information with you that will help your city provide a few remote ways for citizens to pay for their court tickets. And with gas prices even increasing more, they are going to look for options other than coming to the court. I'm with a company called Paya, and we're going to present our proposal to you all. Now, Paya actually purchased a company that I have been with for 13 years. And it's a company called the Payment Group. And so now we are part of the larger Paya family. And Paya has been in the payments business for more than 3 decades. They work for states all over. I have been dedicated for the state of Texas since 2009. Interestingly enough, oh, and by the way, we were trafficpayment.com, but once we added utilities, taxes and licenses, and parks and permits to our court payments, then we became the Payment Group, and that was when Paya acquired us. And actually, Brookshire is very dear to my heart because I called Stephanie about 10 years ago when we had our new integration with Encode, and did a demonstration for her, and was so hoping that that would be passed. And for some reason, it just totally went quiet, and I never really could get a good answer, and have been thrilled to be able now to catch up from 10 years ago to being able to provide payments for the city of Brookshire. Good things happen to those who wait. Okay, so we do remote payments where someone can pay with their telephone, their iPad, their tablet, any type of remote device, a mobile device, and it will render to the page. They don't need to download an app. We also offer walk-in payments. These are credit card and debit card payments that integrate with the Encode software. We also have at our regional location here in Dallas, phone payments that are provided by bilingual representatives, and they're actually available longer than the city is open, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 9 to 2 on Saturday. There are many folks who don't feel comfortable paying online, or maybe their English isn't that good and they want to call and make their payment. And this has been a very strong part of the remote payments that we offer. And of course, we take Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express. So in 2012, 10 years ago, we developed an integration for our company from a guy that started Encode. So we offer complete training and onboarding. Customers know how much they owe. It's fast and easy process because we are speaking with your software. No more manual posting, so it's easier for the court clerks. It'll save about 40% of the time that they spend posting. And of course, live bilingual agents also. the greatest news is, as opposed to the software company that offers this, our service is absolutely offered at no cost to the city. So it is free for the city of Brookshire. And you all also, the service agreement, which I sent to Ms. Branch today, states that you will have a 30-day out. So we are not even, requiring any long commitments. And really, we never have had to. If there's time and you all want, we can go on the dashboard. This is what the reports look like. A customer, once they make a payment, they get a text with a confirmation number if they requested it, and then everyone gets an email receipt. Emails are required to be sent out to each person that pays. Once the person gets that receipt, the court immediately receives the receipt and knows in real time that someone just made a court payment. We have a huge bevy of folks that use our payment system and integrate with our Encode integration. Abilene is one of them, even Birmingham, Alabama. So here she just says, I love using the payment group, which was our company name, Paya Gov, because they have the best customer service and they save us the annual maintenance fee and credit card costs. Our software company tried to get me to use their credit card system, but I knew I had an option, and I made sure that I could still use the payment group. I highly recommend their service, particularly to kids. And again, no cost to your city. So here's a system where we will provide software integration, training, support, and there's no cost whatsoever to the city of Brookshire. How we defray the cost is it's shared with any of the people that want to use our system. They all share in providing the cost for our service. So if someone is making a payment online with their phone or tablet, or they call one of our agents, the fee to them is 4% with at least a $2.95 minimum. However, if they go to the court, the fee is lower. It's 3% with a $1 minimum. And again, those are the credit cards we accept. So there's no cost, no hidden fees. Cancel anytime you want. We handle all the software integration, setup, training, and support. It's easier for your customers and staff. We also assign a personal client manager to assist you with your account. So it's not like, oh, great, we signed up with this wonderful company. Well, now what? Who's going to help us? Our client managers reach out to your court staff and say, hello, welcome to Paya. We're ready to help you. Let's plan some time to show you how everything works. And now we'll send you the things that you need. If you have any problems, here's my email and my phone number. I'm ready to help you anytime you need it. So this type of personal customer service has made us one of the favorite vendors in the state of Texas for local government. The reports are easy. Reconciliation is simple. Again, training is provided, and we are PCI compliant level number 1. Now that concludes this portion of my demonstration. Are you all interested in seeing a test payment, how it would work, and how the court would access the dashboard? I want to be sensitive to your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you clarify for me? The 4% is if they're making an online or or over the phone payment. The 3% is if they're making it in person here in our city offices.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
One is we get a lower rate when it's a face-to-face payment, so it costs us less. The 4% is to pay for. We actually hire our own phone staff, which is highly unusual because it's very expensive. But this way we are training them to read the plea, to be kind and accurate with the people that they're calling, who are calling. So our fees are slightly higher than maybe, even the 3%. And it's to defray those costs as well as the cost of a client manager and staff that will help you with the integration.
Understand. What is the average onboarding time period? If we are to agree to this, what do we realistically are looking at?
Right. I would say It used to be even a week to 2, but it's now gone to about 2 to 4 weeks. And it really depends on how quickly we can access, put a meeting together with our IT department and your IT person. That is probably one of the big delays. The next is we'll need, they'll tell them what we need: a static IP address, and also a way that we are going to be able to send the files back and forth, set up the web packets, and train on processing things through cash collections. So, 4 weeks is, to me, the longest period, barring any unusual circumstances.
And if I understand you correctly, this links in with our existing software, which, Ms. Green, what software do we use presently just for the tracking of tickets, not online payments? So we do use Tyler Technology, the Encode? Okay. So that would link in with Encode?
Yes, the integration that we have, and I do want to confirm, you all did at one time, and I think Kim and I confirmed it. It is version 9, correct? You all may, and it's also not a hosted solution. It's on the on-site.
Ms. Green is saying no. That yes, it's version 9, no to the hosted solution.
It is a hosted solution?
It is not.
Oh, good. Then both of those requirements, we meet those requirements. And yes, we actually have one of our IT guys used to work for Encode, and so he does all of our Encode setups. And then we have a court clerk from the city of Bulverde who comes along and sets up the web packet through TeamViewer, just like our IT expert does. And then they get everything set up. They train the court, answer any questions. They even set up the payments so that when someone goes online and let's say they're a juvenile, which means it requires a court appearance, they could try to make their payment and they won't be able to make it. So we are also helping to set up those status codes. So only those defendants who are allowed to make a remote payment, whether online or by phone, are the only tickets that will pull up.
Leah, we spoke about fraud resistant today. Could you speak on that a little bit?
I'm sorry, to what resistance?
Fraud.
Yes. Our dashboard is access that the court has to all the tickets that are paid through our system by debit or credit card, online or by phone, or if they're taken by walk-in. And this system has been set up, it is an excellent system, and it is read-only. And the benefit of a read-only dashboard is that no one can manipulate the information. No one can change the price of the ticket. No one can make any changes effective to a payment that was made except on our administration. And the only way they can do that is in a separate blue box set aside explaining, whether we had to make an adjustment for a reason. Other than that, it is completely read-only. And that's to prevent fraud from internally on our end or on the court's end. And sadly, in my years of experience, have come across fraud. So this is just another level of security that we offer to you all.
So moving forward, Leah, do y'all send us some kind of stickers or paperwork of how could say that Officer Willie Fufu wrote Kim Branch a ticket? How could that officer explain to Kim Branch how she could pay online until we use up all of our tickets that's now?
Yes. Ms. Branch, that is such a really important point, because I have seen cities set this up and then drag their feet getting the information out, and they're missing opportunities. And so if you all have, do you all have electronic ticket writers, or are they writing the paper tickets?
It's paper tickets.
Okay, so we have solutions for both. In our paper tickets, we will send you orange stickers that go on the ticket that would be handed to the defendant. And so that way it says pay online, and it still says trafficpayment.com, and it has the 1-800 number, and they know that they can go online and pay, or and call. And another way to do it is after a little bit of time, the next time that you all order tickets, you can actually have your ticket, book company print our information on there, and that way it'll make it even easier. They wouldn't have to put the stickers on. And I recommend that. I also recommend changing the voicemail on the phone so it can say, if you want to pay your ticket, go online to trafficpayment.com or call 1-800-444-1187. That also helps. We also provide signs and posters to put outside your court so people know that even if they're standing in line, they can go ahead and make a payment.
Thank you, Leah.
Oh,
Leah,
you're welcome.
would we have a dedicated URL with your system? How does that work?
Yes, you can. We call them vanity URLs.
Correct.
And that's on request, of course. We can have it set up where it would say traffic payment /Brookshire /payments. And then that would be, you can have that turned into a URL and people can wave their phone over it. They sure can. When you have those tickets
QR code
printed up.
generator.
Well, so I mean, we could easily internally, to answer your question, we could have brookshirecity.org/tickets or whatever, and it could redirect straight
Redirect
to
it.
that.
It would be a
So the-
redirect page,
Correct.
right? Yes, and it would open right to the page that they are supposed to pay.
Correct.
And a QR code is
Absolutely.
easy to generate, takes 2 minutes, and free websites. You mentioned that the online payment processor, I know we're talking about court costs and fees at the moment, but did you mention that there's also a utility option with your company?
Yes, we also integrate with several utility vendors, including Encode, and then we provide online payments. And if we don't integrate, we always do a non-integrated a solution, and I can show you how that works until we integrate with the company you have. We're always we have a very robust IT department, and Paya is very strong about integration. So if you had a company we didn't integrate with, we could work on that.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And we also do permits and parks and miscellaneous payments and donation pages. And those are all, it's no cost to you all, and it's a 3% fee or dollar minimum.
I think this is a no-brainer, but
You all are asking great questions. I'm willing to certainly take you and show you the other pages of the website and how it looks, but I, again, want to respect your time.
so, Ms. Green, this $900 payment that we make, was that initial, was that per month, annually, or what is that?
So the contract that we entered into, is a $900 fee every year, and it's initial. And, like, I'm not sure if Ms. Leah stated, we do charge a 3% processing fee that's passed to the defendant. So the city is not actually paying that fee. And I also want to clarify some things, since I was, like Ms. Branch stated, I was not at the last meeting. Mayor, as you may recall, you and I have been in constant communication. Maybe everyone sitting up here does.
Well, we have your emails.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Branch. The mayor and I have been in constant communication, since 6 months ago when this was brought, to the board. I informed the mayor of the issues that we were having with getting the, credit card online payment set up. Once we got a hold of, we tried to resolve the situation, because really what it boiled down to was security. Making sure we weren't opening up a portal or something, and it was about security with Encode, and they weren't going to breach that security, and neither was I. So once we were able to get those issues, we did everything. We had Consolidated out here, we had text out here, we had finally Encode was able to call a tech and get it done. And not before the last meeting did I do this. This was back in the end of March, April. I went to the mayor because I was going on vacation, and I informed him they finally got it working. But I cannot go live at this time until I do a training. They're thinking that I'm gonna have to shut down for an entire day to do this training. Well, Turns out, I didn't have to shut down for an entire day, I just needed to be able to get with the staff and train and, have encode training. Yes, it was after the meeting that I did that training, because like I said, I was on vacation. I've been informing the mayor every time there was a glitch, every time there was an issue. We have been taking payments for approximately 3 weeks, approximately. We've been closing batches. This thing about integration, we have done it before and it didn't work. I mean, it's extra steps that we have to do to get those batches in. This, I love the encode version of credit card payments because once we get there in the morning, the batch is there. The payments are there. All we do is close out. And that's what we've been doing.
Can you tell us how much you've collected, how many payments that you've made?
Okay, we've probably collected maybe $3,000 or $4,000. But here's the thing, everybody doesn't even want, I can't make people pay online. We sent out notices, Ms. Branch, we did all that. We sent out hundreds of letters regarding online credit card payments. We did put a URL on the website that goes directly to the citation page.
When did you put that URL on here?
Ms. Branch, it had to be at least almost 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago.
But you signed this contract, or had the mayor sign the contract in 2020, so we've wasted almost $1,800 of diligently working, and I've been after online payments since August 2019.
So here's the thing, yes, we started after online payments during the pandemic. We were in a pandemic, we were shut down, and then when we finally reopened, and then trying to get things together, I've got a ton of letters. I've been so busy. We've been doing show cause hearings, we've been doing, so much to catch up from the pandemic to get caught up. We couldn't issue warrants for 2 years. So no credit card payments were not at the top of the list, especially.
Well, it should have been because we were closed, nobody could pay. So now those
But I'm
people have
telling you,
warrants.
I was working on it, but I cannot help the glitches. They had nothing to do with me. It's not like I set out and said, I'm not gonna take credit card payments. That's ridiculous. I wanted to take credit card payments. I'm the one that brought this to the board. I asked for credit card payments. So why would I delay it? I asked for it. But
I don't remember
cannot
that.
help that there were glitches along the way, and I cannot help that we have other duties in the office to do. Now, when I finally did the training, I said, with Encode, I took the entire day and I sat in this courtroom by myself. This was before I went on vacation to get my training done. So, it's up and it's running.
Does the police department know that they,
I called Carrie, but they had just ordered tickets. So I couldn't get it on the tickets yet. I can get it on the tickets with the next order.
Judge Krennic, were you aware that we have online payments now?
Yes,
And when were you made aware of that?
I'm told you now.
What'd you say?
Did you say I'm told we do?
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
What was your answer, she says? Answering the
I'm
question.
at a loss. What's the question?
We just didn't hear you clearly. You said yes, and I think you said I'm told we do.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
We do have some credit card payment system in place.
When were you informed of that?
In the last few weeks.
Okay. Ms. Green, you had said that it's been on our city website for how long?
A couple of weeks. A little over, maybe a little over.
May 25th approximately, 9:17 a.m.? Yeah.
May 25th.
May 25th,
and
2022,
today's only June
9:17
2nd.
a.m. Ms. Connor posted the link to our city website.
So when I got it up and running, I didn't want, after confusion, I had to make sure the mayor was okay with me posting that link and give us permission. So that's fine.
So from July of 2020 to what point did we realize we had IT issues?
I would probably say maybe in 2021.
So it
perhaps.
took a full year and a half?
2020.
So a full year and a half before we get IT out here to fix that?
Maybe the end of 2020. But yes, yes.
So Judge Krennic, you being the judge, if you had your choice of Encode Tech, Tyler Technologies, however you want to put it, or the online payment group that Miss Leah just spoke about, what would be your choice? And I'll apologize for putting you on the spot.
Well, having online payments is important, okay? But I'm not in favor of putting some kind of sticker on a ticket. It kind of makes it look like we're some kind of collection agency. We're a court. And under the law of the land, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Now, if they want to plead no contest or guilty, they have that prerogative. Okay? Yes, in the future, maybe we can put something on that ticket. I'm not really in favor of that. Where it needs to be is on the website. The court needs a website that says what somebody wants to do if they want to give up and plead no contest or guilty. I can tell you this. I don't know the name of this company that you're talking about there. The county uses a company called Certified Payments. We use a product countywide that's owned by Tyler. They own Encode. We use a system called Odyssey. It's a county-wide. The district clerk, county clerk, everybody has access to that. There's a public access key, okay? Somebody can go and look up my court and find their case. In JP Court, we have a suggested fine if you want to pay. But let me give you some statistics. If I can go back to that. Okay. These are 2021 payments. Certified Payments is our contractor, countywide. Every tax office, county clerk, whatever. We use Certified Payments. 361 plus came through credit cards. 68 plus came through checks or money orders. And 51,000 came through cash. You got to set up, you got to approve something. And you have to make it where somebody can look up their case and pay it online if they wish to. Whatever you choose. I don't know this company. Okay? I don't know this company. The county had a choice in Odyssey, is which our system's called, owned by Tyler, to use their system. The county, for whatever reason, I don't remember.
Judge?
It's been so long, we've had it for so long, I don't remember. But somehow, the
I have
county decided.
something I'd like to share with the judge.
And everybody got on board. I think, when we initially did it, if my memory holds me right, I went to the tax assessor collector and said, hey, what do you use it for? Certified Payments. And it's just kind of like dominoes. Everybody fell in line.
I reached out to Certified Payments, and I don't know the man. He told me that he couldn't come from Houston out here at 7 o'clock. He shared the link, and I could do this and I could do that. And
May I make a comment, please? Judge, I realize our company, Paya, is a new name. We're the payment group. I'm actually very familiar with Certified Payments.
Ma'am,
One issue
you don't
is
have to
that,
sell yourself to me. You
Oh,
got to
well,
sell yourself to the council.
oh, yes, I just
Okay?
wanted
I'm
to
sure you're
respond to
fine.
your comment.
I'm having a tough time hearing it.
So I just wanted to respond to your comment. Certified Payments does not integrate with your software. I can show you on our website how we can type in a driver's license and state, and the ticket will come up. And that's because we're speaking to the software. That's very important, and you're right about that. To further endorse ourselves, if I will, my company is now integrated with Odyssey, the county software, and I'm currently in the process of selling that software. And then one other point, you mentioned how important it is, and I totally agree with you, that people can pay online. As you see, can you all see this City of South Houston website on the screen?
Barely.
Barely,
Can you
but
see it? I had it on. It should be on right now.
We can see it. It's just on a laptop across the room instead of projected.
The reason why I brought up the City of South Houston is they are a client of ours, and they integrate both for their utilities and the court with our Encode software. South Houston has been with us for about 6 years now. And if you look, can you all see their page?
Leah, we're
Hang on
trying to
just
get
a
it, we're
second.
trying to get projected right now. All we have
Oh.
is a computer laptop, so we're trying to get it projected. So
Not running.
Oh, okay, certainly. I'll pause here and let you all do that.
While you're in the process of that, Mayor, how many times were you made aware between July 2020 to today that there were IT issues preventing this from going online? That it was a staffing issue?
I don't know how many times, but that was basically all the thing that I was told. It was happening so much issue.
I mean,
Also for the court and for the city.
for a company that does this nationwide, I have a hard time believing that a year, 2 years almost, they couldn't
we
figure out
couldn't
what the
figure
issue
it out.
was.
I didn't say Encode, the text. Encode is the one that finally got it up and going.
Okay.
They don't normally do that. They don't normally call their text down. They say, you get the problem fixed on your end, and when you're done, give us a call, and we'll get it set up. So I finally told them, look, I can't get this fixed. I don't know what the problem is. I need your help, because I knew what was going on in the
but they took our $900 for 2 years.
If I'm not mistaken, we haven't paid that yet.
It says it's paid.
Yeah. Invoice says
It does
paid.
say it's paid.
We haven't just paid it.
So Sambino Tech, or who's responsible for not being able to figure out what our issues are?
Oh, I called Sambino Tech, I called another tech that I use when I have computer issues. I called Consolidated Communications.
When you say another tech, is that outside of our
That's
contract?
outside of- Yes, I was, Impress Computers, Sambino Tech, Consolidated Communications, and finally, yes, I did reach out to Encode and tell them I need your help. We've gotta get this going, because it had just been too long. And they said, we'll see if we can get you some help, because they understood what I was dealing with.
Okay.
And that's when they got it up and running.
And so the staffing issues you referred to that have prevented you from getting it in place, what is that?
No, I said training the staff.
Well, you said you had such a large caseload post-COVID
Yes.
that you weren't able to. What about the individual that's
We're
still,
working on show cause, the judge can attest. We're
Sure.
working on show cause hearings, trying to get warrants out, trying to get everything back.
what about the individual that's still working from home? Have we decided to potentially bring that person
She
back in
doesn't work from
office?
home, but she does, the individual that you're speaking of,
Mhm.
she helps, when we have Zoom court, she comes on Zoom to translate, that's it.
And so she's here in the office doing that from Zoom, or where is she at?
At home doing so.
Okay, so she is working from home.
Yes, translating,
Okay, and that's her entire function is translating?
once a week, or when we have court.
So
When we have court.
I guess where I'm going with this is, why haven't we approached the council, the mayor, about getting you more staff if you're that far behind on an essential, if the county, was this the county, Judge Krennick, that you're referring to on the certified payments, was that the county level?
Yes,
If they're doing 361,000 out of 485,000 in online payments, that means the majority of individuals today identify with being able to go online, whether they're guilty or not, making the payment. And so,
Councilman, the point I was trying to make is that most of our collections comes through a credit card system.
and that's precisely what I'm saying.
We should have
Yes.
that up and running.
And
Precisely.
Mine, also keep in mind, council, that we do currently do credit card payments at the window when they come in. We do, it's not that we don't collect them, we also take payments over the phone. So we've been still getting credit card payments, The thing that hasn't happened was the online payments.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I wanna say, integration is great for some people, but it's better when it's your actual system and you're working in your system with it.
Can you submit for the council records after this meeting, Sembino Tech and Impress Computer invoices and the ticket logs?
Sambino didn't charge us, but I can submit it.
I'd like to see their showing that they actually came out and tried to do something. Because 2 years, that's inexcusable in my opinion.
Judge Krennic, I know that you said you didn't like the stickers, just not to put all my business out in the street, but I received a ticket in up close to Hearn where everybody knows. And when they handed me my ticket, they gave me a piece of paper that said, hey, you want to pay online, plead guilty and just pay online.
Well, it seems to
What
me
you-
that they just wanted your money for more than.
Of course they did. That was 2 years ago and I still hadn't got to court.
Well,
Chapter 45 of the Code of Criminal Procedure says that even though somebody gets a citation with an appearance date, we can't do anything about it until we send them a notice. Hey, you missed your appearance date. What do you want to do about this? Okay? Even after that, let's say they do enter a plea and the judgment is a conviction. And they set up a payment plan, a community service, or whatever. Well, when you're found guilty, you got 10 days to think about it if you want to appeal. 15 days, they never pay. We have to send them another notice that says, you haven't paid your fine. What's going on? We have had, we usually have 2 days a month where we have live court for people to make a plea. They don't have to do that. They can go up to the window and do it anytime. They can plead not guilty at the window, okay? But we still do. What I'm trying to say, we have been adding, well, I think 1 month we did 4 times. We've been trying to catch up, okay? And it's the same thing with our justice court. Even though there's been a lack of cases being filed, probably in municipal court as well as my justice court, there still has been, because of the pandemic, a lack of response. What they promised when they signed that ticket.
And Miss Green, the town that I got the ticket in, they only hold court twice a year. That had nothing to do with the pandemic.
Ms. Green, would you be able to pull a report that shows us for the last, let's say this half year, well, 5 months and a couple days, how much we've received as far as cash, card? Would you be able to pull a report like that for us? What about a report that shows the last 2 weeks?
You said cash and card?
Any form of payment?
Yes.
And then according to Encode in my conversation with them today, we've only been taking payments online for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Are you able to pull?
A little over 2 weeks.
Okay, are you able to pull that report to show us how many payments have been?
As well.
Is it, Mayor, acceptable to allow Ms. Green to go do that? We move on to the next agenda item and then come back to this one?
Sure.
Can you clarify, you want 5 months of cash credit?
Any payments that have been made to the court department for the last 5 months,
Okay.
whether it was snail mail, pesos, whatever, any form.
We can let Leah go, correct?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Pete,
In my opinion, yes.
tell Leah that we'll get back with her one day, that she's good to go.
I did have one other question before we move on from this
Oh.
item, and it doesn't involve Leah. Ms. Green just walked out, though. However, throughout the course of the conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong in my misunderstanding, did it sound like there were, because of the lack of payment options that were available, or it made it sound like that there were a number of warrants that were possibly issued because people were unable to make payments in a timely manner depending on which form of payment they preferred.
We have to remember that City Hall was closed for 18 months.
Correct.
Yes. So City Hall was closed for 18 months, and there was no other options that were made available to the public.
There's no credit card payments.
But they could take it over the phone.
But they could take it over the phone, but no, how do you communicate that when there was nothing on the city's website for the court department? The only thing on the court department's website is Ted Krennic's name, Judge Krennic's name, Stephanie's name, and
Zuli.
Miss Marino's name.
And now
Period,
link
paragraph, till,
25th,
what day was that? I had-
8/25.
I guess I'm just concerned that because of that delay, if there were warrants that were issued because of that, I mean, we're talking about individual livelihoods, along with the fact that if the offices were closed, yes, we were all affected by the pandemic, but what did we do to adjust? And that's what my concern is.
Which,
I think the question was, they was trying to ask, was there was warrants put out for those individuals who wasn't able to pay during the pandemic?
Okay, so, no, that's not how the process works. You have to set a show cause hearing, notify the defendant of their missed court date. First, we send a letter to the show cause, notify them that they have a court date. Once they don't show up for that court date, we have to do another show cause hearing, notifying them that they missed their court date, giving them a chance to come in before the judge and to show cause why they missed it with the judge.
So the reason why I'm asking the question is because throughout the conversation that was going back and forth, there was somebody made mention of the fact that warrants were issued because payment could not be made. I mean, I can go back and watch the video later, but that's why I'm asking, is that for that clarification? Was there an inability for an individual to make a payment because we didn't accept online payments and the offices were closed, and then did that inadvertently result in a warrant for somebody because they didn't have anywhere to go in order to take care of fees?
No, because
Because that's what it made it sound like a few minutes ago.
was there an increase in show cause hearings from the beginning of COVID to present? A marginal increase of any kind?
from the ending of COVID, but we didn't do show cause hearings in COVID.
Exactly.
So from the ending, we're still playing catch up. We're doing like the judge just said. We're having court almost every week.
So when was that date
But,
that y'all restarted show cause hearings?
we probably started show cause hearings in February.
Of this year? Okay. And so Sambino Tech, when were they out in February? March, April?
I'll try to find those. I know I can.
I'd appreciate that.
Their invoices, but I don't know the exact date.
Because if we have a technology company and we've had multiple out that are that inept, we need to look for a new contractor.
I'm not gonna say they're enough because info has security features that nobody's gonna get past.
But if they couldn't figure out how to work with them, that's inept. If you'll get those reports, we'll gladly look at them in a few minutes.
Justin, should we start back on the top?
You can do the agenda any order you want to. Is Miss Leah done, or are we gonna?
We can dismiss her.
Leah, I don't know if you can hear us now, but I think we're good with you for now. The council's received your presentation, and we're gonna table this item for now and come back to it.
Okay, thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to agenda item number 4. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1364, a resolution electing a mayor pro tem.
Ready for a motion?
Nominees,
Make a motion that we nominate Jeremiah Hill for mayor pro tem.
Second?
I wasn't even asked.
Would you prefer to have a motion to open nominations? Except for it's already been moved and seconded, so we could fail it and then go back and do it again.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I just thought there'd be
There's not,
discussion.
just so everybody knows, there's not a set Robert's Rules procedure, so it's just as long as we understand the procedure going on, then we're good, so.
Well, motion and second.
I find it strange that you appointed somebody that's been on council for less than a month, but that's.
Well, Ms. Branch, I didn't appoint myself. I've been on council for 13 years.
I've been here for 14 years.
I'm just saying I didn't appoint myself, so I appointed someone else.
So the question is, do we appoint more people or?
Well, we have to vote on the motion that's already out there. If it fails, then you can do it another.
You got a motion and a second already? Ms. Amanda, what was your,
She was the second.
that's what's that?
I seconded, but then, I mean, according to Mr. Pruitt, we don't follow absolute Robert's Rule of Order, so if there's a discussion that would state that there was a disagreement, we could move to reconsider the motion. You could also fail it. You can move to open nominations, then we can select nominations and
That's
discuss
what I
it from
think
that
we should
point.
do since everybody.
But since the resolutions just says to elect a mayor pro tem, then you could also just move to elect a mayor pro tem and pass that and then open nominations. I'm fine with Robert's rule.
John, we're not to you yet.
Okay, I just got hung up on it. I wanted to make sure.
Blame Mr. Pruitt for messing with the phone.
It's the attorney's fault always.
So what do y'all suggest we're gonna do?
So Councilman Stamps, I mean, if how you usually, not you, but the council operates, if you want to rescind your motion and discuss more, you can do that. You can, the mayor, if you want to just vote on the motion that's been made and seconded, you can do that. It's really up to you.
Main motions are also debatable and amendable, so if there was any debate to be offered, then offer the debate and then we can discuss.
My debate was,
Mhm.
we just, Mr. Hill, not that Mr. Hill's not familiar with what's been going on in the city for a while, but he's new to the council, not even a month old, and we're going to put him in charge of the mayor pro tem. That's my only debate.
And just council, so you understand, the only call from the state code is that you elect a mayor pro tem for 1 year. There's no, I mean, no other provision related to that office. So the mayor pro tem will just serve in the absence of the mayor, in case the mayor is physically absent or incapable of performing the duties of mayor.
That's what y'all wanna do.
We have
Would you like to
any,
offer any discussion?
any other nominees?
I nominate Kim. She been here too.
Undoubtedly, I mean, it'd be ugly to second the motion on myself, so undoubtedly y'all have y'all's mind made up and we can move forward.
And just to clear on that too.
Nominations don't
you-
require a
You can
second.
nominate yourself and second a motion for yourself. That's not a violation of anything.
And to be
I
clear,
think that would be
Mr. Stamps and I
ugly.
have not talked at all.
I do. I
So,
believe that.
At all.
So then there'll be
2 nominations, yeah.
2 and 2 votes.
So you got to break it. And this,
Then I'll have to break the tie.
No,
Well,
Except for you have 5 members up here.
that's not what he said. He said you could nominate yourself and second the motion.
I nominated you, so did you second the motion?
I second the motion.
Okay, now.
Right?
So, but now we have 2 motions, so we still have to vote on each individual.
we have to vote on each individual to.
You have two nominees. So
No,
now
so
we-
if you open nominations, so if you rescind your motion and you say, never mind, I'm not gonna do my motion anymore, then you move to open nominations.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can say, well, I nominate Jeremiah Hill, and then you can say, I nominate Kim Branch. Those don't require seconds. So what
But
you do
just-
is you
just
have,
That's Robert's rule. There's no Robert's rule, so it's as long as the mayor understands what the motion's gonna be, then we're good. So, right now, you have an open nomination for Jeremiah Hill to be mayor pro tem. You have a nomination for Ms. Kim Branch to be mayor pro tem.
but in that case, what I'm trying to say is that the person who made the nomination, the person who seconded, doesn't necessarily mean an affirmative vote for either person. You still need to go down the line and ask who they would like to vote for
If the mayor wants to handle that procedure.
in
he
terms
can
of
do that.
nominations.
Yeah, it's the mayor's meeting. He can handle the procedure how he chooses to do so.
Right now, we have a tie, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you have two
Have one
nominations.
council member who hasn't voted.
Yeah, you have two nominations for mayor pro tem. You have Councilman Hill and Councilwoman Branch.
Mr. Stamps, your vote?
Yes, for Mr. Hill.
Ms. Newendorf, your vote?
For Mr. Hill, please.
Did you get the vote too?
I would abstain since I'm nominated.
Thank you. It makes it harder. Ms. Taylor?
Ms. Branch.
Ms. Branch?
This is gonna make it very ugly. I vote for myself, but then that's real ugly because here you are and has to break the tie, and I don't think that that's fair to you or the rest of the council.
So, Mayor, since there's a tie, then it's your vote.
Well, I'll pick Ms. Branch.
I hate that you were put in that position, Mayor Branch.
Big deal. Okay,
Got many more years, trust.
I got one
No, you don't.
Let's go on to agenda item number 5. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution 1365, a resolution approving the final plat of approximately 3.2 acres of land, creating 2 lots to be developed as Rolling Fire Commercial Plaza, located at the intersection of I-10 Frontage Road and Solomon Lane, Brookshire, Texas, subject to conditions.
So, Mayor and Council, you should have the packet in front of you that's attached to the resolution. The only condition that has been put on this particular plat is that it just adds signature blocks from Brookshire Katy Drainage District and the Water District. The way that the city has interacted now with the Brookshire Katy Drainage District and the Water District is that once plats are approved by the city, they are routed to those two entities for final approval before filing. And so that means the city has had there's no issue on the city's end for any of the way that the property is displayed on the plat. And so if you approve it, then it can be ready for filing once the other two entities approve it.
Discussions?
I had a question. Was this the project that was presented to council a few months ago that was about it was like a reconstruction or renovation of an existing building, and they were seeking an ordinance variance because the ordinance requires like green space or something? Okay.
Yes, I think we have a representative.
Okay. Yes,
You
sir.
sat
I
up
recognize
pretty
you.
straight, yeah.
Yes, I'm Birch.
I was at that meeting, okay.
I'm with Rolling Five LLC, we're the owners of the property. But yes, the whole project is, there's 2 buildings on this
Correct.
property. One is United Rentals, they've been up in operation now for a couple of years, I think. And Horizon Distributors want in the other building to do some build-out work. and they've gotten a permit to do that. They're actively doing that right now. Part of getting, that permit and a CO for that, which is the next, agenda item, is, that we have a plat, filed. And we're actively doing that. We still have to get the drainage and the water, district's approval, but we're actively working on that. Any other questions?
Are you having any problem with the drainage district or the water district?
We're working through that.
So yes,
The water district gave,
It was a yes or no answer. Just go ahead and say yes. We understand.
been fine so far.
Right.
The water district's, carried it out, you know,
Right.
stretched it out.
We understand.
And just counsel, the reason that I made a mention and why in your packet there's a note about the signature block for the two other entities is because that relates to the next item in the processing, so.
Is it a normal procedure that we approve a final plat without those two entities already
So-
agreed to?
Well, I think the procedure's been, there's not been a set procedure in the past. For permitting for CO issuance, your code requires the city to be the final approval of any kind of project to issue a CO. Plat approval, though, has not been consistent at all for any of the entities, especially the city. And so, it's, I think just through the last year or so when the Guna Corporation helping through this process, that it seems with the entities, the best process is what we're doing now. But there are some issues that still need to be worked through, and that's why the next item will be there. But final plat, I mean, in general, once you get through preliminary plats, final plats most often are almost a non-issue. They should be, once you approve a preliminary plat, it has conditions, most of the time it'll have conditions to it. Once the developer can prove up those conditions, then that's what the final plat is. And so it should be almost an administrative type procedure, which is why this one is, there's no conditions on it except for the signature block.
Any further discussion? Motion?
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 1365.
Second.
None though?
4.
Four.
French.
For,
Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Oh, my.
And Mayor and Council, I just want to know it's an error. It's my fault. The section reference, it says on the resolution, section 48156H. That should be section 48182H. 156 is preliminary plats and 182 is for the final plat. And this is the final plat request.
So my only question on this one would be, you're asking for a variance, or essentially to be able to go ahead and get a certificate of occupancy without filing this with the real property records of Waller County, but there's not a timeout condition here where that COC could be revoked if they don't actually follow through with that. Why would we not have that in the paperwork?
We're presenting with what the request was. You have full ability to put conditions on that waiver. Just that because of the process with the final plat, process being as it is now with going to the other entities after the
Understand.
city, the way that your code reads is that in this case, the developer wouldn't be able to get a CO until the other entities have approved that plat, and then it's filed. Because the way your code's written, you have to have 4 copies of the plat presented to the city secretary, the final recorded plat presented to the city secretary before the CO is issued. So here, because it's routed to the drainage district and then the water district, until they sign off on the plat, then the developer cannot get the CO.
Understand.
So what you could do is, so first of all, it's a waiver of your code for that provision, the 182H. But then, I mean, if you're free to put any kind of conditions on that at all, so.
that's what we've seen.
Well, in the past, yeah, our prior councils have granted variances and there was no follow-through. And so we still have certain things in the city today because no one I guess internally has a
But what I
checklist.
was talking about is we okay it, but then it gets hung up over here and nobody
Correct.
wants.
So
they
what kind of,
Point fingers back to city council.
what time frame has the water district and the drainage district given you?
They haven't given us any yet. This only came up like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
No mention of it was mentioned on the preliminary plat requirements. It only came up on the final plat requirements that we got like a week and a half ago.
That's another problem that we're having.
Yeah.
Right. So, Mr. Pruitt, if
That
we were to
multiple
say,
times.
give him 6 months, and that would trigger, if it's not been done, it would have to come back before council. Is that an appropriate action where we could still extend it again after that 6 months, or what would be the best course
I mean,
of
I
action?
think 6 months, I mean, that'd be a developer question, but I think that seems reasonable enough. And from
Yeah.
what I understand, that your particular project, and by the way, the Guna Corporation has no issue with granting the waiver. Because they understand there's no issue from the city side of things. And I think from what they understand is there's no, and what shouldn't be any much more delay from the water district or drainage district, because the kind of build out you're doing, neither one of those entities should be affected because
Both of them signed off on the permit.
yeah.
Right.
That went through the city before they issued the permit, both of them signed off on the permit to do that build-out work, which is actively being done. We just don't wanna get in a situation.
No, I agree.
Get held up, with like the water district, we can't, we gotta go meet a meeting, that's, maybe 3 or 4 weeks out, and they completed their work, and they wanna be in there.
Right.
That doesn't hang us up. It cleans this up for us too, because we have 3 accounts right now with CAD, and they don't match how the 2 entities are leasing the property. So this will fix that too for us. So, I mean, it's in our best interest to get it done.
No, absolutely. I mean, that would be what I would be most comfortable with, is
Is that your motion?
that. Justin, how should we best say that?
Just you can approve the waiver subject to 6 months, that it's gotta be, you submit the final plat to the city within 6
Okay.
months.
So that would be my motion, that we approve resolution number 1366 with a 6-month waiver to come back before city council should there still be issues with other entities or the county itself.
Second.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
Ms. Lindo,
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
Motion carries. Should we go back to Ms. Green and get done with that?
Let's go ahead and get him off the phone.
Oh, he's still.
I think
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Schmidt.
Have a good afternoon, sir.
I think we lost him again, but let me see, can I bring him back up? It's your fault, you get him back up. John, are you still there?
Sean? Hold on just a minute. Can you hear me? Sean?
Yep,
Okay.
I am ready.
Okay. Agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1362, a resolution dedicating signature for a 2021 Texas Community Development Block Grant Award to provide sidewalks.
Okay, Sean, you're on.
Hi, everybody. This item was tabled last time, and I provided the council some background information regarding the program as well as specific application that the city of Brookshire had authorized in spring of 2021. And I know there were some questions about why the sidewalk and accessibility improvements were going where they were going. And for reference, this Texas CDBG program through the Texas Department of Agriculture is specifically called the DRP program because there are requirements that it is downtown revitalization. So there are requirements that it's in the historic area of commerce or the commercial areas for the community, or it's around the courthouse and that sort of thing. So there are limits and requirements for the location aspect of the project itself. And so that explains, I think, some of the questions you had at the last meeting. Additionally, the other information I provided for your convenience was the photos that were used as part of the application. There are some existing sidewalks. Additionally, other areas do not have them and will have sidewalks, as well as I included the objectives of the project, which is what PDA requires. There needs to be one or two obstacles to be met as part of that, as well as I also included the city's authorizing resolution for the application, and I also included the engineer's preliminary plans. Also for background, while I was happy to gather all this information for you, as we move forward, there are some other things within environmental review that we need to do as we move forward with this project. And so, while there are no hard deadlines to adopt these resolutions, not adopting these resolutions also does prevent progress on other aspects of the project that do have timelines. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.
John, can this incorporate the, what would that 100 block be? Ford? Front Street by Wells Fargo from Cooper to Auto Street, 100 block.
I think the last time that we discussed that, the Front Street, the reason why it doesn't incorporate that is because with the new
You are correct.
expansion that's coming from TxDOT, they will include that within their project. So let's let them pay for
I
it.
apologize.
I'm all for TxDOT paying for things. Let them fix
I
it.
was thinking of the building
Yes, ma'am.
stuff. And maybe.
The actual retail establishments that need ADA access.
Yes.
I have a question. First off, Sean, thank you very much for getting us that information because I appreciate it. I'm a visual kind of person. On the kind of aerial view drawing that you have of where there are going to be ADA ramps and it looks like asphalt paving and things like that. First question is, so I'm assuming that we clarified what the easements were. I know there was a question on adding sidewalks and ramps to the property directly across the street from City Hall because that is owned by the county. So I'm assuming that that has already been cleared up.
Yes. I can't give any guarantees. I would say there are potential for minor changes. PDA can be very finicky regarding what changes are allowable, given that this was applied for in 2021. And we wouldn't want to ask for changes that could jeopardize the funding. That's a question we could explore later on. I did take the time to confirm with the engineer that there appears to be no acquisition needed as part of this project, which is obviously a good thing and also streamlines the project, but also there would appear to also be no railroad permits or things like that, which with these type of projects also can add time. So those are also good, just some good news I wanted to share, but I can't really speak for sure regarding project changes, especially at this stage of the project.
I think if no acquisitions are needed, that probably answers the question on the easements. And then my other question are so in the red lettering, it says asphalt paving and it is primarily around the handicap parking spaces. Is that, can you clarify? So what the asphalt paving is that to fill in the gutters to make the handicap parking spaces level?
I would hope so because
I'm
That
just
one
wondering.
right there.
You like dip down and then you're on an angle. I'm just imagining somebody that is a handicap or particularly in a wheelchair or something may have difficulty getting out of their vehicle and up
Yeah.
towards the ramp.
From having worked on accessibility projects like this, my understanding in reading the plans would be that yes. Also, having been to City Hall a few times, the paving would need to fix the grade that's existing, especially nearing those handicap spaces, because I'm not sure if the handicap spaces in their existing state meet ADA requirements.
I doubt it. Okay. I think that was my. Did I have one more? I did notice that in some of the other photos as well that it's labeled as a Brookshire Historic Commercial District. Council, can you clarify, has a historic commercial district ever been voted on or zoned?
It's, Mr. Hill answered that. We were both at the meeting, Historical Society meeting.
I mean, they're calling the entire area down here, though, a historic commercial district.
Yeah.
I mean, normally if you designate something as a historical commercial district, that comes with a whole lot of other ordinances and rules, like, I mean, some of the commercial buildings that are being painted whatever color they want to along Front Street.
If you notice down there in front of the, it'll always be the credit union to me.
Right,
Old City
Clay's.
Hall.
Mhm.
There was an anchor there for the Donegan whatever, so that's a historical marker. The museum is a historical marker. The little building behind the museum is another historical building that the Historical Society is working with Waller County and in the near future coming to the city of Brookshire to do something that I can't disclose at this time.
Councilman
But-
North, I think, and Sean, you may be able to remember this, I think 2 years ago, we passed a resolution at the request of Grant Works to dedicate an area as a historical downtown district. With that, it wasn't like you're thinking of about,
Yeah, normally it's facades and elevations and paint colors, and what is being built within the historical sector does not meet historical requirements whatsoever.
that's, I think if, and I don't know if Sean may or may not have that in front of him, but I think if we did that probably 2 years ago for this, must have been for this project, and we did a resolution that would dedicate that area as, or label that area as a historic district and for the purpose of this grant. But I don't recall what was attached to that. I don't think there was any, development standards or facade
The
standards.
McDonald building was part of it. That.
Yeah, I do not have that in front of me now. I know that's been done on other similar projects, but I do not have a resolution of that nature in front of me at this time. But I also would be happy to find one and provide that at a later date.
No, I think you're okay. And my question was probably mainly for my fellow council members, but, and then also, we should probably revisit that if we want to be considered a historic commercial district, to try to preserve what we do have and prevent what has been.
Because of the museum has the Texas State Historical.
Right, but this boundary that they're saying is historical district goes all the way to 90,
Okay.
and behind City Hall.
So even like the building along 90 that was painted black and white recently, and it's just the front of it, not even the sides. The yellow building that's falling apart, the
Yeah.
fences that are not maintained. I mean, there's, if we're gonna call it a historic commercial district, then let's go all in.
Let's keep in mind that fence that's not maintained belongs to the city, and it took me 4 months to get it.
No.
Oh, no, I was talking about even the ones behind the buildings that run along 90. If you go down the alleyway behind, Wells Fargo and things like that. But yes, you're talking about this one?
Yes.
Yes, that one, yeah.
Took 4 months to get
Uh-huh.
them to pay attention. But anyway,
Okay. Any more further discussion? Motion?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 1362 and 1363.
Second.
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
4.
Newendorf? Ms. Newendorf?
Yes, sir, I heard you. I just had some questions about resolution 1363, but voting has already commenced.
Oh, 'cause they said it was together.
Yeah, that was the recommendation from last time, but I had gone back through 1363, and there was just a couple of questions about some of the policies that were suggested to be adopted.
You're not bound by the building ordinance of the mayor.
I'm so used to Robert's rule, guys. It's the way to live.
Mr. Hill?
So Mayor, if you want to continue discussion.
Go ahead, Ms. Newendorf.
I just wanted to ask the mayor if he had any problems with the code of conduct policy that was listed in there and the excessive force policy.
No.
I just thought it was interesting to be included in a resolution about housing concerns.
It's part of the grant works paperwork that
Okay.
has to be.
That was it.
There are some, what may seem like overarching or,
Mhm.
policies that supersede what we have here, but the difference between these is they're only going to be associated with this particular grant for federally funded grants that, make their way through the CDBG.
Mhm.
They're not going to supersede any existing policies that the city has.
I just wanted to know thoughts about the policies and then how they were going to be monitored, like how we would hold the accountable who is and is not upholding those certain policies, things like that. But thank you. So my vote is 4.
Regarding enforcing some of the policies here,
Jess, I think the question is how do you go about maybe reporting or enforcing these policies that are required to be associated with this permit?
absolutely, yeah. I think part of it is the nature of the relationship that all grant managers, myself in this case, have developed with their respective cities, but also when we do other aspects of the grant, such as the Fair Housing Proclamation, we have to do required postings as part of this project, as well as throughout the process of the project itself. So the next step in the project, if and when you've authorized the resolution for signatories, we can move forward on sending out letters to various tribes and agencies for environmental review. This environmental aspect is all publicly posted and has contact information for the city regarding that information. Excessive force, for example, is specifically regarding if someone were to protest a specific project, the city, any city would say, we're not going to use excessive force for someone protesting that project. And as Mr. Pruitt mentioned, that is a policy that is specifically adopted as part of this grant. But throughout the process, both this startups process, the environmental process, as well as the bidding out and opening of bids in construction phases, there's several chances for appeals and public noticing as part of that, as well as every year posting for fair housing and making that publicly available across the city. So I think it's making the address, phone number, and emails of the city available and making it clear that the city and all cities that GrantWorks work with are available for contact for anyone who feels like any of these policies may apply to them.
So I want to go back to Ms. Green or?
We're not 3 votes?
Yeah, I voted
Yeah,
for.
he voted 4.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I vote for.
I got it all right here.
Oh, I second.
I thought you seconded.
Sorry. Never mind. I'm the one lost. I
All right.
apologize.
Just got convoluted with all the discussion.
Motion carries unanimously. Next.
That's it.
If you want to jump to Ms.
Green,
Green on
Ms. Green?
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
This
Bye now.
report is for the existing payments. What about the last 2 weeks? How much?
You said everything for the last,
Right. How much was the last 2 weeks?
I would have to separate that out.
Okay. So out of $130,000 in the last 5 months, 80,000 was credit card payments. So it's safe to say that. So we need to move forward with a solution that actually works. Is my opinion. And I'll let y'all take it from there.
Well, if I could remember the name of the company,
Paya?
it wasn't the payment.
It's
group.
Paya with Leah.
Just before you make your motion, Mr. Pruitt, because I think I know where you potentially are going. Have you reviewed the contract with,
No, that's what I was gonna say. Before we make any decisions about what we're gonna do with the Tyler contract, I haven't seen that, or at least not in a few years. So we need to make sure that we're not doing anything that's gonna terminate, well, I mean, we're gonna have to terminate that thing, and I don't know what the implications of that's on the city. It may be minimal, but if there's a like a for-cause showing or something like that we have to prove up
It
before we
says
terminate.
we have to do it in writing.
If it was originally signed in July of 2020, would we be approaching the end of the contract period? And
it probably
Yeah,
just.
I just haven't
auto-renewed.
reviewed it, and so I want to make sure that we,
the actual days? Yeah, if it's 60 days, we're probably,
Yeah, what I read is a 30-day,
which means we're close.
if you cancel without a 30 days notice, $695. But this other company's gonna take 2 to 4 weeks anyway.
Right.
So there's nothing stopping us from moving forward while still issuing notice to this other company. At this point, all I gotta do is remove it off the website, because
Right.
nobody knows where to find it other than our city website.
Find it anyway. It was called the payment group, right?
Pia.
Paya.
Excuse me, Pia.
I make a motion that we move forward with Paya, and after Olson and Olson reviews the contract. She said it was no contract. We had the first 30 days for free, and even though that it is free, we could terminate
Sure.
anything after the first.
Basically, it's month to month is what I understood. Hmm.
Can you amend your motion to ensure that it's Olson and Olson that sends notice of termination to
Tyler,
Tyler Technologies?
do you need that to be two separate, or would you like it to?
I mean, just restate it, just to make sure we're on the record. But, I mean, if we're gonna do two things with this, we're gonna terminate the Tyler Technologies contract and then do what we can, take steps to enter into the Paya contract.
I just want to ensure that we have no glitches and notices.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when I see the Tyler contract, I'll make sure we follow everything to get out of that thing.
Did
so
you
we can
not get a
properly-
copy?
No.
Well, here, you can have mine.
Probably have this in the record.
I make a motion that we allow Olson and Olson to
Terminate the contract.
terminate the contract with Tyler Technologies and to review the agreement with Paya payment, online payments. That's my motion.
To review or to enter into?
Review and enter into.
I would second that.
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
4.
Ms. Newendorf,
4.
Ms. Taylor.
4.
Okay, motion carried. Where did I get that one? Let's get back on track. Agenda item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding emergency readiness quote for City Hall and the Convention Center. Mr. Hill.
Mayor and council, we've had several natural disasters over the last several years. The last one was the freeze that happened in February of last year. The county attempted to send, or they did send, a generator down here, but our convention center had no ability to hook into it. Therefore, we could not have a warming station or a place for residents who are displaced to temporarily go. So what I would like to see us do, and I don't know the formal process, is us to go out for bids to discuss either it's minimally, we can do one of two things. Minimum, upgrading the electrical back there so there's a transfer switch so the county could ship in a generator and we just plug and play, or we get our own generator so that this building is backed up in the event of a disaster and we need to house people on a temporary basis.
I'd like to see that second option done.
Yes.
I would agree with that, but that's the two options we have. So, Mr. Pruitt, I kind of default to you on this of what that
Do you know
looks
off the
like.
top of your head if this is something that there's a particular group or entities that do this
There are
specifically, or?
Plenty of companies.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
question would be bonded and licensed as far as the requirements for a municipality. I've softly talked to two companies. One of them's doing one in the Woodlands right now. But until I knew our process, that was as far as it went of, can you work with a municipality? And they said, yes, raw cost, anything beyond that, we didn't even go into those weeds. I just want to know we had a couple of options to pursue fairly quickly. Obviously, it's not necessarily rushed, but we are entering into hurricane season.
Right.
I'm asking that question because I just didn't know if there's, I mean, essentially, we're gonna have a go out for bids for emergency preparedness for, municipal structures, and then I just didn't know if there was gonna be some specific language that you want staff to put in that bid notice that would trigger any kind of, response. Like if we're saying emergency readiness quote for Brookshire City Hall, if that's gonna get you there, or if there's something specific you need to include in that bid.
Well, I think it's gonna take, I think what sounds like council is more interested in is a generator.
Okay, in the agenda.
But there's potentially gonna be some electrical modifications and revisions that need to happen in order for that to be possible. So it'd have to include
Both.
both of those items, or a scope that would encompass whatever is necessary to allow that generator to function for this building. Because I don't know where our natural gas supply is related to this building. There's a couple of, I don't have a survey for the building, so I don't know where everything lays out at. So whatever would be encompassing to allow that to happen.
I'm in favor of a public bid process, no matter what the overall scope of the project is going to be, just for the sake of clarity and transparency. Despite what any kind of rules that says that council is supposed to follow, I don't care if it's a $5,000 project or a $500,000 project. I'm very much in favor of a public bid process. And whenever we do submit for public bids, what I think that it should read as is kind of what you were stating, Mr. Hill. We're looking for generators with, feel free to include if we need electrical upgrades or different things like that, so that we're comparing apples to apples and not hamburgers to salads, like we were with the other construction bids for the city hall. If we are the ones that are in control of outlining exactly what we're looking for, then we know that contractors can tell us what they can provide it for. That's how you look at bids properly. That's my 2 cents.
I also believe that we're not using TML as much as we could. Is there not a place on the TML website for?
Yeah, the municipal
Such.
postings for this kind of stuff, yeah. There's
Are you talking about our bid posting on the website? So I mentioned that at the last meeting, and that's why I had my phone, and I showed my phone with the webpage pulled up in that moment. You could probably pull it up right now as well. If you look at on our website, we have a public bid page. There are 0 open bids. There are 0 closed bids. I think it only shows 2 won bids that were from like 2019 and no pending. I don't understand. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that I know we started last meeting, but I just don't understand how can we say that we can't receive bids if we're not utilizing all formats to seek bids?
When we get to number 10.
Oh, yes,
bet
ma'am.
We can answer some of that.
There is TML hosts on its website, public bidding page, and that's, we can do that. And there's other ones too, and I'm sure for this particular kind of topic, I'm sure there's an emergency,
There has to
probably
be.
some kind of like government emergency page or something like that we might be able to post on as well.
In terms of the concept, though, it's very simple. I mean, my dad's private residence had a Generac out back that ran off of diesel. Within 2 minutes of it detecting that there was no power, it kicked on automatically and the house had power. It's very simple. Hospitals utilize it. And then even with our city lost water because the pumps weren't able to function as well. That was not the brightest day for the city of Brookshire. Brightest week.
So what would the proposed motion be, Mr.
Just
Pruitt?
move to go out for bids for emergency readiness, including a generator
Okay,
for
I'll make
City
that
Hall
motion.
and the Convention Center.
Second.
Mr. Hill, could we add one more thing to that? I'd like to also add, if possible, also for the police department. I don't know if you guys was aware, but during the freeze, the police department's fuel pump operates electrical, and it wasn't able to operate. So therefore, they wasn't able to fill up during the freeze because of the power outage.
I was under the impression that they had generator issues, but the work's been done since then. Are any of y'all able to speak on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Because that came afterwards.
okay. Yeah, I mean, this would be essentially two, because this is for City Hall and Convention Center.
That's why, if
Absolutely.
we can add that, if possible.
I think this is two separate things.
Okay.
I don't want to conflate the two. What I'd rather see is it be put on as a future agenda.
Gotcha.
I have no problems approving it, but,
Because I think his main focus was for an emergency shelter for citizens.
Mm-hmm.
and I was unaware of that. In fact, I spoke with Chief Jackson last week at lunch, and
Okay.
he mentioned that there were some issues with generator that got repaired, but he didn't mention that particular problem. Otherwise, I would have, well,
Okay.
at this point, this agenda item was set, but
Mrs.
I'm sorry, 4.
Ms. Taylor,
4.
Ms. Branch.
Or
Okay, motion carries. Let's move on to agenda item number 10. Discussion and possible action regarding city website.
I went through our city website, and I've got about 4 pages of errors and issues that need to be addressed. I've been on the phone with Municode multiple times. A lot of it's as simple as sending an email and saying, fix this, and they're able to do it. Who is actually in charge of our city website on city staff?
You ask me?
Yeah.
Ms. Harrison and one of her staff.
Do we know who the staff member is? Or is it just Ms. Harrison delegates it at will?
She delegates.
It looks like mostly Ms. Connor. Really, Ms. Connor's been the only one who's posted anything on the site since 2019, other than city agendas. Is there an existing committee for that, or is it just literally Ms. Harrison? Okay. I'd like to see us do something, because some of the stuff is so easy. I mean, that needs to be updated.
well,
You know,
speaking to Miss Neuendorf's concerns, one time I was trying to look for, are we actually looking for employment, job openings? There's the job opening tab, but there was nothing there. But if you go to notices,
yeah.
that's where you find the job openings.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, we had a company that ran our website. The Brookshire EDC's part of their city page looks great. I don't know what happened to the city, but
Well,
me
it's-
being a council person, I can't find anything on it. I'm embarrassed to tell anybody to go to the city's website.
Well, it's the same company that does both.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more than able to do anything we want them to do for the most part.
They just need the information.
They just need the information and to be told.
Somebody can make a simple spreadsheet and say, here's all the errors, please fix them. I mean, if we're paying them to do something, even just as something as simple as, I mean, I haven't looked as of today, but like our current council still hasn't been updated. And I've asked for City of Brookshire email addresses to be issued to all of us because I think it looks really unprofessional to have all the random mixture of @Gmails on our website.
Ms. Casto, do you call Municode and have them do it, or you do it yourself for
I can do
EDC?
it myself, and if I need assistance, they're very good about telling me how I need to go about doing it.
But it's not that hard for someone to post.
No, And their support department is 4 people. And I mean, I called just to ask some basic questions. They were ready to do it right then on the spot. I'm like, whoa, you know, this ain't nothing for them. I'm just asking what the capability is.
Maybe they're bored.
So I don't know if the best suggestion is we have a committee that's based of a couple council members along with city staff to review these issues, or what y'all would suggest. But I was told recently that the person who's supposed to be doing it doesn't get paid enough to do it. And so, you know, if we can't trust that city staff is making basic changes, we need to figure out some way. Because I've talked to 3 different developers who the first place they looked was our city website,
It's not on.
and they kind of shrugged their shoulders about what they're going to deal with the city of Brookshire. And that's something that should be so easy and taken care of and simple. So,
Even with regards for some, submitting bids, I know that we've had the construction for City Hall come up.
that is
I
never
I
been
know
put on the city
ridiculous amount of times. It's still not on the website that we're submitting bids. And another company that I talked to personally about a different matter, the gentleman said, "Oh, I work for a company that does municipal construction work," and he called the office and asked for information about the bid and was never sent.
Hey, Pete. You asleep back there? Do y'all do anything with websites?
I can refer you to a couple of different people as far as website goes.
I mean, I don't think we need to make a change. I don't know how much we're paying. That's the other thing. But I'm not suggesting we make a change other than we need to know who's
Just get it
supposed to
done,
be
yeah.
responsible so they can be held accountable. Because when I went through with Municode several things, the last update was when they created the page in 2019.
Well, Mr. Hill, how about we just make a committee that you work with city staff? You, Mr. Hill, work with city
Okay,
staff.
which city
and
staff member?
Unicode.
Which city
Well,
staff member? Because I don't
And
want to
that
be told.
way, Mayor Brandt said Ms. Harrison and Lakeithia Connor.
And plus she delegates
Well,
work to different.
if I'm going to do that, I would prefer it to be one staff member. Because
Well,
I
then
don't want the
that's fine.
runaround of, oh, they're not here today, oh, it's not their responsibility. Let's delegate one staff member, and I'll let you inform Ms. Harrison. Or if it's Ms. Harrison, that's fine, I don't care who I work with, but let's get this stuff done. If I just have authorization, I guarantee I can get most of it done by the end of the week.
I bet
Because
you
I already
can.
have it in form, and I just need to email it to Municode. But I don't want to step over Ms. Harrison or anybody else's toes.
Right.
So,
Is that something we could do, appoint Mr. Hill to update?
If you want to make a committee, the mayor, then what we do in this item is just do a city website committee and then make Councilman Hill the liaison to that committee or something like that.
Well, that's my motion.
Second.
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
4.
Ms. Nuremberg
4.
and Mr. Hill, even though you gonna be the man.
4.
Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding former fire department equipment apparatus, signage, and the building. Mr. Hill?
As everyone is aware, and I'll make sure Mr. Pruitt corrects me if I'm wrong, we do not have a volunteer fire department, correct?
So I think.
That's correct.
Councilman
Yes, sir.
Stamps, yeah.
Okay. There's still signage on 90 that points to the building as a fire department. There's still signage on the door that says it's a fire department. Paraphernalia out front, things like that. So this is kind of multi-pronged. The signage, I believe, Mayor, you should be able to just get Public Works to go remove that off the door. Get that, everything that's there. The red light needs to be changed to a normal colored light, not signifying emergency services. The sign on 90 needs to be removed. The equipment, I think we should give Waller Harris ESD 200 the opportunity to review what equipment we have. And if they can offer a fair price, allow them to purchase that equipment from the city. And we'll get into, I guess, the particulars of that. Same thing with the apparatuses. I know there's 1 or 2 they may be interested in, the rest they may not. So we need to kind of discuss what an auction would look like. The building I'm not prepared to talk to tonight because I don't know what the city has established as a long-range plan. But that's a lot of money that's sitting there collecting dust and deteriorating. And I think we need to make some grounds to get rid of it before it deteriorates further and we lose potential value in them.
One thing we'll need to figure out, and this came up a lot, I think, when the license agreement was established with Brookshire Fire Rescue, was it was unclear what equipment was actually the city's and what was belonged to the fire department, the volunteer fire department as the independent organization.
Mhm.
And I think some of that was also the ESD 200 had some equipment. It was all, I think, shared, which, I mean, it's understandable. But if we're going to take action to do anything with the city, which would be the city equipment, then we need to make sure that it's actually the city's. And I don't know if there's a list or any kind of
That's
documentation.
just a simple inventory that can be delegated.
In my conversation with them, they're not laying claim to anything at this moment. I do know there's a couple trailers now on the property that don't belong to any entity, the city or the ESD. They're other individuals. So do we need to do a newspaper notice of abandonment of property? You have certain days' notice to make claim to it.
They're already in the process of picking up their equipment.
Can we assist them in picking it up?
That's Chief Rodriguez. This is barbecue pit and the flatbed trailer. And the rescue trailer was actually donated to the department, but I think we're going to give that to Waller County Harris ES200 as well.
Okay, but if it was donated to the department and there is
Well,
no
it's Chief Rodriguez's. So he was a part of the department. He still works for Waller Harris also, so I think he donated to whoever he wants.
Was it donated to him personally or
No,
to?
it's his. It belongs to him. And he donated it to us.
Okay, so how did that transaction happen? Did he just say, I'm donating it to you without
Yes.
a title transfer?
No, yeah, without a title transfer. He just, because he was a part of the department, so he wanted to give it to the department.
Okay, so,
Just so we're clear, because the Brookshire Fire Rescue was the entity that had a license agreement with the city. There was no city fire department ever. So that's why I'm saying we have to be very clear about what we're talking about with what equipment is actually the city's. And so if,
I understand that.
Now, all of the apparatuses are the city's.
So there at one time was a city fire department, otherwise we're buying large toys.
I mean, we need what I'm saying is, I think before we take any action to do anything with any equipment, if the city council has any, interest in that at all, we have to document that somehow, and that's gonna be an inventory and some kind of prove up that shows how that equipment
Was acquired.
whatever it is, yeah,
Mhm.
what the city's interest is in that equipment.
budget. It's
Yeah,
the
we do.
city.
Yes, the city's.
So,
Yes, the city's.
again, is there a way to do a public notice of X amount of days for any individual to lay claim on any, whether it's a chair or anything within that building or on the grounds?
There may be. The problem is, I don't think that the city council can take action to open up a public auction on equipment that you don't know for sure is yours.
Well, I'm saying that would be the second phase of this.
Right.
The first phase
Yeah,
is their
yeah,
process.
once we identify what equipment is actually the city's, we have an interest in that. Either we show that it was donated to the city itself or that we purchased it through whatever funding. Then once you have that equipment identified, then there's a straight process of how to auction that off or donate it, depending on if it's an intergovernmental transfer, that kind of stuff.
Well, for starters, all of the apparatuses belong to the city. If you want to start there.
Right.
Which I think we should need to see that, how we have to be able to prove that up, so that when we transfer
Case
that.
somebody
and
comes
whatever-
I was gonna say, I would like to see some sort
That
of
fire truck for the city.
inventory list so that somebody can't come forward and say like, or it just
Donate that
magically
truck to the
disappear. Because I know it was my understanding that the building should have been empty at this point, but I think there's somebody living in the building.
There has been individual in and out.
And I mean, we can look in our invoices in the packet as well, and we're still providing electricity and gas to the building as well.
Well, part of that's due to the EMS.
EMS is being there.
Part of that. So, I guess possible action tonight would be, number one, to have Olson explore what is needed to prove up what's ours and what's not, to include but not limited to posting in a public newspaper, whatever that looks like. The second half of that would be to ask the mayor to direct Public Works to remove all signage that indicates that that's a fire department there, change the lights out from emergency colored to normal white color, remove all memorabilia or whatever in the front that makes it appear as if it's a fire station.
That's why it's
The lights, I think that's going to be text dot.
No, not the light on the building. That's not TxDOT.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the emergency light
No.
right on
The
that.
light on
Red
the building
Okay,
is
okay.
red.
Oh, that's just a
emergency
bulb.
colored.
That's a bulb.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with TxDOT there. That's my
That's your
motion.
motion?
Second.
So, before we move forward, has all the keys been returned to?
Ms. Branch, we haven't met since last year.
All I know is my kids really wanted to make Christmas cookies and take them to the fire departments. And we went to the one that was over here behind the First Baptist Church. And then I think it was, I didn't realize that city was not even supposed to be occupying the building any longer. Knocked on the door and a gentleman opened the door and gladly accepted the cookies. So I would love to know who we are paying for somebody to live in the building.
Well, maybe we should,
I'm sure no one lives in the building. The gentleman I'm sure you're referring to is Mr. Reggie Brown that's sitting in the back.
No.
He does, okay.
It wasn't him.
Oh, well, the reason why I'm saying this is because he does go oftenly just to check on the building, make sure, because there's still equipment in there.
No, it
So I
wasn't.
know-
It wasn't him,
well,
and it was a
other than
gentleman
that, it's gonna
that
be-
came to the door looking like he just was watching TV.
Oh, okay, because the EMS,
question is, why is Mr. Brown going on city property and it's not a city employee?
well, like I said, we still have equipment there. But as Mr. Councilman Hill stated, we will make sure everything is taken away from the property. That's already been in the process. Matter of fact, I think him and Jesse went on last week and started taking down stuff. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Brown, correct?
All right, so Mr. Pruitt, how are they able to take stuff off the property without proving up?
No. I said taking down stuff, like our certificates off the wall and things like that. They started cleaning up the place.
But like
They didn't
Mr.
take
Rodriguez,
anything away from there.
Who's potentially about to remove trailers, is he able to remove those without us first
I mean,
going through this process?
So the technical thing would be, once that license agreement terminated, there was no permission to be on the property for the Brookshire
Correct.
Fire Rescue. And I think before that, though, and I think Councilman Stamps, I can't remember the date when it happened, but the Brookshire Fire Rescue just dissolved as an entity.
Mhm.
And so then, therefore, there was no license agreement. So, I mean, depends on how you transfer, or how you interpret what to do after a license agreement. When an entity dissolves, there's got to be time to wind down and get the property removed. So it could be like a lingering right under that license agreement. But but technically there is no entity, and so there's no permission for any group to be on that property. So that's going to be the city to monitor its own property and to prevent trespassing.
I just think if we look at the situation from maybe a bird's eye view, okay, so it's property that's still owned by the city. So any individuals that are on that property is a liability to the city
Correct.
without specific permission. The other thing too is that if we do not already have an inventory of all the equipment that is on the property and who it belongs to, any property that's removed, that individual that's removing that property is subjecting themselves to their own liability should anyone want to come back and claim theft or anything like that. So I mean, it's just, I mean, I understand that individual, like you said, they're trying to help clean up the things and things like that. But from the city side and from an individual person side, I think the best recommendation would be to halt everything until an inventory can be taken for everybody's protection.
Okay. And really, as far as inventory, everything has already been either taken that belongs to ESD or was stolen from the other department.
Well,
that
that's
when it was
a part
split.
of the-
So honestly, the only thing that's left there is the apparatus, and it may be some old 20-plus-year-old gear just kind of lying around here and there. But other than that, that's pretty much it. There's nothing there.
So what you're really saying, Mr. Stamps, there's no reason for
Anyone, exactly.
to be.
If council permits, I say give us the weekend to get the trailers and stuff that belongs to, like I said, they're Chief Rodriguez's.
Okay.
Get that stuff off the property, we're done.
But again, they were donated. But
Well, they're his. I mean, he was a part of the department. They're
In
his.
other words, he allowed them to use.
There's
it.
a
Exactly. However, for
There's a
better
big
words.
difference in
But I'm saying-
allowed
Yeah.
versus donated.
Well,
That's a big difference.
Well,
So
he
if I'm
brought it
curious-
in, he put the title, everything on it, but it was his. We didn't pay for anything. He utilized it as well as everyone else.
So would it be safe to say that by June 8th, which is next Wednesday,
Yes, ma'am. We'll have it all. It'll be gone.
all keys
All that
to the
stuff in the
fire
back will
truck,
be gone by this
anything that-
weekend.
Y'all's certificates or anything,
Will be gone by this weekend.
by this weekend?
This
So we
weekend.
can say June 6th.
Like anything in
This
the
one.
building like this, tables and cash,
they can have it. All I want them just get your paperwork, certificates, things of that nature, miscellaneous items. That's it. Everything else, we're not worried about furniture and so forth. It can stay there, just to make it
The
simple.
only thing truly you can just go in and take out.
Yeah, we just want our paperwork. We get our paperwork out of there, and Chief Rodriguez will move his stuff from the back, and that's it.
So
It's gonna be real simple.
Change the locks on the doors.
So Monday on the locks.
So who has the keys to the fire truck?
Well, the keys are in the station.
In the station?
The keys are in the station. They used to be in the trucks. I mean, that's just the way that was standard.
Those should probably be retrieved.
Yeah.
Could you see that they get brought to city?
Yes, ma'am. We'll get everything. We'll get that brought up here as well.
Just somebody watches the video, they're like, oh, I can go joyride in a fire truck.
So y'all have to go get them tonight. You may want to go get them tonight.
Just,
Oh, God.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. And with the removal of the signage, the red lights, getting the keys, Mr. Stamps and his group will remove the flatbed, the barbecue pit.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all will have all of this done by the 8th.
By this weekend, yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Hill?
I
No,
made the motion.
you made the motion. Miss Amanda?
I seconded.
Oh, you did. Okay. Mr. Stamps?
4.
Miss Taylor?
4.
Miss Branch?
Or
Motion carries. Agenda item number 12, discussion and possible action regarding Brookshire EDC Board of Directors. Mr. Hill?
We discussed this in the last city council meeting, and I believe the discussion was for each of the council members to bring an individual tonight that they would be willing to present, and that we have no more than 2 city council members on that board moving forward. So with that, I'll open up the floor to who the 2 city council members can be, and the 1 nomination for each person for a new board of directors for the Brookshire Economic Development.
I make a motion that Jeremiah Hill, Councilman Hill, and Councilwoman Neuendorf be the 2 council people, and don't look at me like that, Miss Neuendorf.
Second.
You didn't see my face either, so.
Miss Taylor, you second it?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Stamps?
4.
Mr. Nundle?
I suppose 4.
Mr. Hill?
4.
That's done. The next part is,
I'm sorry.
you want to go ahead and do
Your
the
first.
nominees?
I think we got 2 options. We can either go ahead and do that tonight, or another option will be to allow each of us to have that nominee come to the next meeting.
Accept their nomination.
Well, not necessarily to accept, so that if we have any questions related to their business experience, whatever, I'm open to either one. I'm not gonna die on a sword for this. But I think that would be one of 2 options.
Well, I'd like to nominate Kathy Guy. Yes, Miss Guy does live in Brookshire and owns a business here.
Council, when you're thinking about who to place on the board, we need to be specific about which position they're replacing on the EDC board. And Ms. Vicky, I don't have the list in front of me of the current board members, but if you know that, or if council has that available, then if we, just make sure we're clear about who's replacing who.
One of the seats. Mine be one of the seats.
Just the name of everybody and their position on the board, so that way, because it'll make a difference on, because right now I think there's 3 or 4 members that are up their terms will be up at the end of
plus 5
June,
is 7.
and we'll need to know who's getting replaced, and then for the remaining members, their position will not be up until the next year. And so we're filling vacancies that
Hold
way.
on, my understanding was that, I don't know how to politically correctly say this, so I'll just put it Kim Branch, that we've dismissed the whole board and appointing new members because we control that board. It doesn't matter
Correct,
if
but
their
for-
terms is up or
But for
not.
continuity, you don't ever want a full board rolling off at a time, ideally.
Right.
Now, tonight's different because they do serve at the pleasure of council. What Pruitt's suggesting is we look at the existing 7, Ms. Casto, and when they roll off, and say, okay, the 2 council members or one of the council members would be this position,
Right,
and these
just
new people.
new-
So you know who's rolling off when.
If I'm not mistaken, I think one of the seats were mine, and I'm fine with it. I can get some rest.
Do we know Ms. Casto?
I can go and make copies for you real quick, if you don't mind.
Why don't we let you do that and we'll
I'm
move to
fine
the
with
next
that.
agenda item.
Yeah.
Look here.
Actually, let's, since Ms. Casto is here, can we jump to agenda item 15? And then come back, so we may have questions for you related to the next 2 agenda items. That be okay for you?
Number, where are you?
Go from
15.
12 to 15. And then come back to 12
know-
when Ms. Casto comes back.
12, 13, 14 regard
Yeah, 12.
city
13,
assets
14,
and the BEDC, so.
Okay.
Well, that's not what my 15 is.
You got 2, or you looking at the one in your packet?
No, 15 would be mayor and/or, it's supposed to read mayor and/or mayor
Yeah.
pro tem,
For the radios.
access to police radios.
The radio.
Number 15.
So is that where we are right now?
We're gonna
Yes.
move forward to 15, come back to the EDC stuff when Ms. Casto is
Okay.
back.
I would prefer not to have a radio. I am not a police officer. Oh, I'm sorry.
We gotta read the agenda item first.
Sorry. You know, I've never been here in the 14 years that I've served
Okay.
this late, so, y'all might wanna help me stay awake and on course.
Is it your bedtime?
Yes.
Okay, agenda item
Yes.
number 15, discussion and possible action regarding mayor and the mayor pro tem having access to police radios. Mr. Hill.
The actual wording was supposed to be mayor and/or mayor pro tem. And I want to make a point of distinction for Mr. Brown, who invoked my name at the beginning. I've not ever been the mayor pro tem, and I'm not the mayor pro tem now. So my access to a police radio is non-existent. With that in mind, it was brought to my attention that the mayor has no access to know what's going on. And so that's why I put this item on the agenda.
Mr. Hill, I can help you out. It's real simple. Everyone in here have the cell phone, right? Pull out your cell phones. If you have your cell phone out, go to the search bar. On the search bar, type in Waller County Scanner. Once you type it in, you don't have to download the app. It's going to pop right up. You click on it, it's going to play a 15 to 30-second ad. Once it plays that ad, you're logged on. You can listen to Brookshire. You can listen to the EMS. You can listen to the firefighter. It gives you access to all of the emergency personnel. And it doesn't eat up your battery as well, nor do you have to have an app. It's a simple process. And it saves money. Yes, sir.
But don't you have one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I understood what Mr. Staff was saying, but the mayor and the pro tem should be able to not only listen to what's going on with the police department, they're supposed to be able to communicate with their chief. On a lot of situations where the media come, the mayor's supposed to be there just as well as the police chief.
Yes, but they still wouldn't be able to transmit. They can't talk on the radio. You can't transmit. They can't transmit.
There's no rule
You cannot transmit.
that
Because then you're operating in the official capacity of a police officer. You cannot transmit.
the police.
You can, yeah, he does supposed to communicate it. The mayor, you're right. Mayor pro tem can communicate with the police chief, but they cannot get on the radio and transmit with a police officer. They cannot do that. They cannot do that. Captain, you have Captain sitting back there. Ask Captain, he's been doing it for 30 years. I guarantee you, no mayor can get over the radio.
Let's give him all of his years.
No, the mayor does not get on the radio and transmit and talk to the police officers.
Okay, to solve all this, it should be in the bylaws on what you're saying. It should be in the bylaws.
That's
saying
anywhere.
police chief
That goes for
and the
anywhere.
mayor cannot communicate in case of emergency situation.
I didn't say they couldn't communicate. I said they can't get on the radio and transmit and talk to them.
Right.
That's what I said.
So, well, this is simple to solve. So there's nothing preventing the mayor from having access to listen.
Right, correct.
And Mayor, how often were you updated during the shooting a few weeks ago? When were you updated for the first time by the chief of police?
I'll just answer that question, not often.
Was it within minutes, hours, the next day?
It was probably hours or so.
Hours or so. So we had a major shooting in the city of Brookshire, which is not the norm. We're not having shootings all the time unless there's something I'm not aware of.
I agree.
And the mayor's out of the loop.
Mhm.
No doubt media were calling him, I would assume. Citizens are calling the mayor. The mayor has no clue if it's under control, if what's going on.
Mr. Stamps, do you have a police radio?
Yes, I do.
Can you hear Brookshire PD?
Yes, I do.
Can you communicate with Brookshire PD?
Yes, I can.
Why?
Because I'm a police officer.
You don't think he's a police officer?
I didn't say he wasn't a police officer. That's not what I said. If he's not working in the capacity, he can't just get on the radio and transmit and talk to an officer.
He's a deputy constable.
Well, that's fine. If he's working in the capacity of a deputy constable, and then he can get on his radio and do that.
Well, it's the same reason why I should
Captain
have it.
Garcia, did you have something you wanted to say? Because we don't want.
I don't want Ms. Branch.
Come on,
you know,
we-
I think the chief should be here to discuss this, but part of it is that everybody has access. I mean, Mr. Stamps just told you, everybody can listen to whatever's going on and stuff like that. If communicating with the chief is an issue, that's a different deal than having a police radio. Our department has to operate under, we have a license to be able to get the information, put the information out. Some personal information doesn't, shouldn't everybody have access to, stop somebody, whatever not deal, but it's nothing against them having to listen to the deal. And I don't have a problem with the mayor having, when the mayor is a police officer. According to this, it says mayor and mayor pro tem.
It was supposed to read
Which is
mayor.
not how the motion was originally made at the last meeting.
But according to this, is what it says, okay?
Well,
I actually had to send in another amendment that needed to be made.
Next day, when we don't have a police officer who's a mayor, is it just gonna be access to any mayor or to anybody who wants one, or what do we do?
No,
Provide one to everybody or something like that? I agree that there should absolutely be no problem with communication between the mayor and the chief, but that's not the issue with the radio. The radio issue is something else that, if y'all decide you wanna buy a $3,500, $4,000 radio for the mayor and the mayor pro tem, I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but they can't transmit on it.
Yeah.
Because we have a license to be able to do that, so.
That's-
I don't-
Monitor
Nobody's
is one
disputing
thing.
that part of
Get a
it.
scanner to listen all you want to, you can get, I mean, that's there available.
I don't think anybody's disputing the fact that if you're not a police officer that you can't transmit on the radio. I think what we're talking about though is in order to use the scanner, you have to have the website open on your phone at all times in order to listen to it. Having a radio would be something to where you could hear things that are going on in that moment.
Sure, you can buy a
Are we-
scanner, have your house on all the time, you don't have to have your radio. So, I mean, you could do that for $100 or something like that, as opposed to $3,500, but that's y'all's decision. It's public information that's been transmitted and you can receive it. It's how you choose to receive it. Our deal is whether you have a radio or not. And if you're a police officer, then, and the mayor is, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, and it's not me to make that decision, it's up to you guys. But we do have to operate under a license of what we put out and who all receives it. Me as a police officer, I can't ask for certain things on the radio without me being certified, or without me doing my deal on the communication end of it. So that's up to you and up to the attorney. But there's nothing prohibiting you from listening to it, and the communication issues with the mayor and the chief is something else that can be addressed a different way.
Oh.
I mean, I got a hold of the mayor as soon as I got here on site with the shooting. I went and met with him, I spoke with him, and I talked to him about what all was there. I came and I was here within a few minutes, and as soon as I was notified, I got with the mayor and let him know about everything that was going on. I also contacted the chief and made him aware that I was responding.
That's a true and correct statement, but Mr. Hill asked, when did the chief call?
you know, that's something else that y'all
Yeah,
can discuss.
we
You know, I
understand.
feel it's the radio type deal, and it's open for anybody to monitor it. I mean, anybody can get on the website and listen to whatever you wanna do, you know, whatever traffic we're putting out, you're welcome to do that. Are we gonna buy scanners for everybody or radios? I mean, the radio is a $3,500 to $4,000 deal per radio. I don't have one from the city of Brookshire, and I've been here for 40 years. I've got one signed to me from DPS, and I monitor the city of Brookshire type deal on it, but you guys wanna go out and buy radios for you know, you can, but I'm saying there's an easier way to address that.
I don't think we're asking for no high dollar, $3,500 radio.
Councilman
But
Hill,
in order to get a scanner, because we just bought a scanner when they denied access to that, you have to have them programmed, and guess what?
That's what I was
You
saying.
can't get them programmed anywhere unless you're a police officer or have a officer.
And why do you think that is? But I'm sitting concerned with getting the mayor a radio because he's a police officer. I don't think it's a big issue. I think something that can be addressed, but what happens tomorrow when a police officer, or the mayor's not a police officer?
Well, in the motion,
It goes back.
if it made everybody more comfortable, then in the motion, it should be, I make a motion that Mayor Darrell Branch, being a commissioned police officer, have a police radio, and when not elected anymore, is returned to the police department. I mean, that would be the logical answer to the whole situation.
Which I think is already established, though, with the fact that you cannot transmit unless you're a police officer. So if there was a new mayor that was in position that was not a police officer, they wouldn't be allowed to transmit. So whether or not the actual piece of equipment had the capability of doing so, there's still rules that are set in place.
so
I think we're just talking about, I mean, I think that we've already established that you can't transmit if you're not a police officer. That's clear. And I don't think that's anything that's being argued. And you can use the word radio interchangeable with scanner, some sort of device that they can listen to without having to pull up a website on your phone and have that website open and playing at all times is what I hear it as. But to address the point, though, where it says mayor and mayor pro tem, that is an inaccuracy with the agenda as was voted on at the last meeting. I had another agenda item that I myself had to have amended prior to this because it was not typed up accurately. It's a whole separate issue, but these are a lot of the issues that we're trying to address as council because these have been going on for a long time.
I think that was,
My input, and I have, I mean, I
Yep.
don't have a problem with it, I just, you know, told you what my opinion
no,
was.
I think that was purposeful wording on whoever made the agenda. But was that your motion?
Sure.
One question, Councilman Hill, when you mentioned the word radio, were you being specific about a radio as distinct from a scanner, or was a scanner?
Whatever device is needed,
Okay,
you know, if it's a scanner, if it's a radio, I'm not a police officer, and I'm not gonna
I'm just making
pretend to
sure
know
because-
exactly what, you know, it
I'm
would
just making
be.
sure, because if the motion's gonna be made for a radio and that causes some issue with the,
Ask
what
Ms.
what
Branch
needs
to
be
amend that.
purchased, then we-
Mayor Branch, what device do you think would be the most beneficial for you to stay well-informed as the mayor of the city of Brookshire?
I would say the radio.
Okay, so, yes,
Because
radio.
if it's something going on, and a lot of times I'm out and about in the city, I should be able to contact the police department, let them know what's going on, or if they're looking for somebody and I happen to be out riding and this person goes by me, then sure. But as far as just getting on it and talking on it, I don't have to do that.
Well,
I
nobody's
know
suggesting
better.
that either.
I've been in law enforcement since 1996 myself. So, but
All right,
that's y'all call.
Is that your motion, Ms. Branch?
That is my motion.
I'll second that.
Providing Mayor Branch this access, it seems to me it's a temporary solution to a long-term problem.
Correct.
So I'm not sure that this council is actually resolving the issue by giving Mayor Branch, who may or may not be reelected at the next round of elections, access to a police radio. There's a bigger problem here.
It's the first step to a resolution.
It's a non-step to a resolution because it's dependent on one issue, one individual person that happens to hold the seat at this point in time. It doesn't resolve any problem.
Right.
But the problem will be solved at a later time. You have to take baby steps before you can continue on.
There are gonna be some workshops proposed to address some issues.
And even if there was a mayor that was elected in the future who was not a police officer, they can't transmit over the radio like we've already established, but they could still listen to what is going on within the city since they are the chief of the city. I mean,
if you do it on your phone, you should be able to do it from a radio.
I agree, you know, you're funny, you know, police, yeah, have a good program, et cetera. I really feel like communities, are taking a non-step by doing this. It really needs to be addressed in a great way. If you have plans to do that in the
Yes.
future, I'll take your word for that. I've been real impressed with what I'm seeing in the last 2 months, so, I just thought it needed to be voiced that this really isn't a solution.
No,
That
we
there
agree.
will be a solution in the near future.
We agree. All right, you got a motion and a second.
Oh,
Four.
do we? Wait a minute, who was the motion?
Motion was Miss Branch, I seconded it.
How did I miss that? Okay, Ms. Stamps, your vote?
4.
Ms. Newendorf
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
Motion carries. Which way we gonna go now?
You want to go back to the E EDC?
So, place A and B has been replaced with Mr. Hill and Miss Newendorf. Is that a true and correct statement?
It would be my preference, because me and Miss Newendorf are on the same election cycle,
To do separate.
to do a
One.
separate roll-off year.
Okay.
Not that it necessarily matters, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, but I'd rather see it. I don't, Miss Casto. There's place A, place B, place C, place D, place 2, place 3. I don't understand that wording.
That's the way it was passed down.
Okay.
But the, Ms. Casto,
It seems to coincide with the end of the term. Again, I mean, I don't know why it's not all alphabetical or all numbers, but 1, 2, 3, and then 23.
Are we missing?
There's not a 1 from.
One is at the top with the president.
Oh,
involved.
I see it.
Yep, there it is.
Gotcha. That's weird formatting. So 1, 2, 3 are on odd election cycles. A, B, C, D are on even. Or nomination cycles, I should say, not election.
That's what it would appear.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm fine with that if you want to do 1 and 2 as the council members.
Okay.
so,
And just so that the council understands too, the officers, they're chosen annually at the annual
By
meeting,
the
which will
board
be in
itself.
July. So
Right.
so 1 and 2 has been taken care of, correct?
Right.
Is that what y'all are saying?
It appears so.
So you got secretary, B, C, and A. And
Okay,
D.
so I have to choose.
Which
Let's just go down the line like that. 3, and then A, B, C, D.
So
Whoever you
I'm-
nominate goes.
Kathy Guy goes in place 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So mine is 4.
A.
Place A.
I'm gonna nominate Quotacious Dunn for place A.
I will nominate Suzette Baines for place B.
Baines.
Uh-huh.
I'm nominating Glenn Mayberry for place C.
I don't have anyone.
You don't
You
want
know
that?
yourself?
Yeah, my time.
Well,
How long were you on
Like 8 years.
it? Okay, then I'll have to come up with another one.
I have another one.
Who?
Irene Hall.
Justin, how does this work? Excuse me, Mr. Pruitt, how does this work? For the purpose of, because they're due to have a meeting in the coming, actually,
Well,
Ms. Castu, next
but
week.
I don't think that meeting has been posted, so there's not gonna be, it looks like there's not a plan, the regular meeting for June is not gonna occur. July is in the bylaws is the annual meeting. At the
Okay.
annual meeting, the new, as the terms get up, that's when they're set, and then all the officers get it placed at that time. So, the way this would work now is that we have to have, for sure, we're gonna have a meeting posted by default of the bylaws in July.
Right.
We could, it's because you're the council, you have direction over the EDC, you could direct that a meeting occur between now and then, and then we work with Ms. Casto and the new group to hold a meeting and do some introductory things if we need to do that, or we just wait till July.
Okay, who does she answer to in the meantime, if there is no board?
Yeah, it's the direction of the council, so there's gonna be some winding, no direction from the board if they've all been removed, and so.
Okay.
That's why I think it might be good just to take a 1-month break, and then by function of the bylaws, have the next meeting be in July, and then let the new board choose officers and then move forward from there.
Okay, and so that agenda will be just a simple agenda of officers? Okay.
Owner of Casa de Flores.
As far as any check signing, things of that nature, what is the contingency plan in that case?
Yeah, I know that Ms. Casto, who signs the checks now, the Ms. Vaughn.
Ms. Vaughn and Mr. Richards.
Then the default then would be Ms. Harrison would sign checks related to the EDC. I think the month, and I don't know what your monthly expenses, but I think that you'd probably have your consultant and then you, and then I don't know what other kind of monthly expenses you might have, but.
Is there a way to have it as Ms. Harrison with the mayor
Could
as
be,
a backup?
But there might be action needed taken by board for that to happen, because
Okay.
I think the signatories are with the bank, and so that's an action of the board to do that.
So shouldn't we call for an emergency? Can you have a special meeting of
Yeah,
the
special
EDC?
meeting.
Special meeting, not an
EDC.
emergency meeting.
And especially the EDC can be at any time, just like you all, but there's not as, the quorum requirement is not a super majority like you all for.
This is
special
Okay.
meeting.
What you looking for?
So there's still one place open. Are you sure you don't want to nominate somebody?
I'm sure.
It's in here somewhere.
And there's, and I don't, Miss Vicky, you can speak to the council on this, but I don't know, of the existing board members, if the council is wanting all of them to be removed, or if there's anybody that's on the existing board that can carry over.
I want them all to be removed.
Other than the consultant, is there any pressing, besides, I'm assuming you get a payroll check, beyond yourself and the consultant, is there anything pressing that can't wait for 30 days or for 2 weeks, essentially, for an emergency meeting?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. Ms. Harrison takes care of those things.
Okay.
We still need one more person.
I got another nomination if you want, but it's up to y'all.
We hadn't voted on any of them, so throw it out there.
Miss Mangarine Hall. And that's
Well, the other name I passed along to you was Mariella Aguilar.
Who?
Mariella Aguilar.
Yeah,
Then,
I would lean
Justin,
towards
can we
more
vote on,
Ms.
or they
Aguilar.
vote on those two?
One of the two to fill the remaining
Yeah.
spot.
so the incoming board could vote on that last
Oh,
seat.
the incoming board?
Or he's saying that we could vote on it now.
Yeah, you
to-
would vote on
for
that
a final
now.
nomination.
The board can't choose a person.
And no offense to Ms. Hall at all, but Ms. Aguilar, being a
That's
business,
fine. I was just saying I had another.
Mhm.
yeah, being a business owner in the area, I think she'd be a good asset to that board.
Stamps you have on?
He said no, that's why.
So if you're ready to take a motion, move on down the road.
Take off.
I make a motion, we accept place 1, Jeremiah Hill, place 2, Amanda Neuendorf, place 3, Kathy Guy, place A, Quotatious Dunn, Place B, Suzette Baines. Place C, Glenn Mayberry. Place D, and I know that's not her proper name, but I know her as Perla Aguilar.
I think her given
Second.
name.
I'm getting to it. I'm getting- Okay, Mr. Stamps, your vote.
4.
Ms. Newendorf
4.
and Mr. Hill.
I made the motion.
Oh, that's right. Ms. Taylor.
4.
It's getting late.
I know.
I know.
I still have a 4-hour drive to go back to my family vacation, so.
But I want a pot of coffee. Too bad you don't
Okay.
pass the
What
buckies.
number
You ain't
we
got no
on now?
driver.
Hmm?
What
You got no
number?
driver.
I don't have a private jet yet, so I got to do something.
I hope you wasn't counting on the pay for city council for no private jet.
Better start flapping faster.
So where are,
13.
Okay, agenda item number 13.
Here, you can have this one. This is my other one. You know, it's not what.
Mine's in somewhere in there. Agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding use of city employees' assets and other items. What is it?
Mayor, this was supposed to read use of BEDC's use of city employees' assets and other items. So another
Use of what?
BEDC's use of. And unfortunately, most of our department heads are not here. I know Mr. Stamps is here, who has been on their board.
Table it.
I think we need to table it, but it is somewhat time pressing as well, but I would prefer to table it till a new board is set.
Okay.
That would be my motion.
Second.
Mr. Stamps? Ms. Newendorf?
4.
Ms. Branch?
4?
Motion carries. Agenda item number 16.
14.
We did 15.
how many
We didn't do
you
14.
102.
Okay, agenda item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding BEDC projects. Mr. Hill.
Mr. Pruitt, in the last council meeting discussed with us a model whereby the EDC, if they're going to do a project, it would have to go before, one model where it would have to go before city council for approval. I'd like to see us move towards that model so that there's continuity between the two boards know what's going on, and we ensure that the council understands what's going on the Economic Development Board.
That would be wonderful. Is that your most?
If nobody wants to,
So I can say there's a lot of ways to go about that. One of them, Mayor, will be just the structure of your agenda. You could do like a monthly report and just update, or every council meeting, twice a month, that you have an update from the EDC. And since you'll have 2 council members, that are on the board, you could report that, include in your packet. No action necessarily, just an update. The other option, well, in addition to that, you could do, which we're gonna have to do pretty quick with the new board sitting, is the budget for the year. And there's different ways to do that type of budget. But the way the budget process, is presented to you from the EDC, that budget document can be very specific, or it can be generalized. But then, as Councilman Hill has mentioned, that you support that generalized budget with projects that are approved not only by the BDC board but also by the council. It's wide open how EDCs and councils interact, but really that's more of a policy end. So I mean, there may not even be any action to take on it unless it's going to be that you want to set as a policy of the city that no project of the EDC is approved unless council also approves that project. So just make sure that's clear that that there's a lot of freedom to interact and how you do that. But there are some cities that have large EDCs, and those EDCs have every project is presented to council for approval. Some EDCs don't do that, and then they only submit a budget that's very general, and the EDC functions kind of on its own, so.
Well, in a perfect world, the council would know exactly what's going on with the EDC. We don't have that right now. Now, it doesn't mean we can't change this later, but my preference would be for now that every project goes before the city council for approval as well.
Because they put the cart before the horse most of the time, and it's already too late, and they've already promised these people 380 agreements, and we didn't even know it was a project on the table. So I'd like to second that motion.
Mr. Stamps, your vote?
Four.
Ms. Newdorf?
4.
4.
Now we skip.
16.
Now number 16.
I know. I know.
We skipped 50.
I know.
I mean, we did it.
Discussion and possible action regarding mayor and Mayor Pro Tem having full access to all security cameras on property, parks, and other city assets. Mr. Hill.
And once again, this should have said mayor and/or mayor pro tem to give the council liberty to decide. There's a recent issue that the mayor had no access to see what's going on with security cameras. I've been made aware there's certain city employees that have access to every camera throughout the city, but our mayor does not. And I think that's kind of backwards.
I agree. It was brought up. I'm not going to throw names or whatever, but there's it's not called secret information, confidential information at the PD in rooms where victims may be or criminals may be or whatever. And so I don't think that it's necessarily that I think that it is necessary that whoever makes this motion restricts the
Like questionnaires, the people that.
what would you call the room, Mr. Garcia?
Interrogation rooms.
Or something of that nature. Interview rooms, interrogation rooms.
Absolutely, because, I mean, we have, areas where we book people in, that they have in, you know, we have cameras back there, we have people who will take interviews, will take statements and all that other kind
Right.
of stuff. I don't have a problem if you wanna have access to the cameras outside the police department, what the general public does, but I mean, coming inside the deal, you know,
Well, are you aware there's current city employees that have access to that?
I'm not aware of it, I don't have access to any of that.
And that's what I'm
not
saying,
aware of
it's
that.
kind of a backwards.
So, my deal is, you're gonna create a bigger problem with, I mean, people should have a little bit of, well, we have informants, or we have complainants, or we have victims, we have defendants.
We're on the same page with that. I'm just saying right now, there's city employees who have access to it, but the mayor's not allowed to have access to look at Hovis Park. So we're trying to address a separate problem.
I would say that you would probably limit the scope to what all you wanna look at.
And I'm perfectly
You know,
fine with that.
You define that, but not to all the cameras and stuff like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
perfectly fine with that.
Especially in the jail, that's.
I'm sorry?
Especially in the jail, there's some things that goes.
Especially in the jail, or when we have victims come in that are, you know, we had somebody with, you know, domestic disturbance, they came in and gave a statement and stuff like that, and we're video recording that, and, you know, who all comes in and wants to be confidential deal, and we have officers from other agencies and stuff like that, so some of that should be, to the outside, I understand, or where the public has access to it, but I don't know about the rest of that, but that's y'all's decision on that, maybe, you know, address, maybe we decide what we're gonna be transmitting out there.
Yeah, well, no, I agree with that. Have no problem inside the police department.
Yeah.
But we also need to have a review of who has access, because there's been pictures that have surfaced from inside the police department, and
in the jail.
should not be out there.
Should not, absolutely not.
And that person is not a police officer in any form, stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely should not.
So is that something that needs to be investigated then?
Sorry?
Is that something that needs to be investigated then?
It's the first time that I was brought to my attention. I don't know who took the picture, who has access to it, but my deal is we should limit that. And so what you're trying to do is get access to it, and I'm sitting saying something that should be limited, because we do have victims, we do have confidential informants, we have other stuff that goes on. If you wanna record something outside the police department, or outside City Hall, or the city park, I understand, I don't have a problem with that, that's all public. If you're gonna go inside the mayor's office and have access to the camera, I don't know that everybody should have access to that. He should be able to feel pretty confident, because if there's a camera, that somebody's not at somewhere else watching it,
Correct.
So some of that stuff should be defined what you're asking access to.
Well, we can't, the purpose of the agenda item is state what we want to discuss. The purpose of the agenda item is to state what we want to discuss. The discussion here tonight is to refine that down.
Okay, and
So,
that's what I'm saying with.
Otherwise,
Because as it currently stands, our mayor has no access.
otherwise this would be like,
I don't know that, but that's something with y'all.
Correct.
But then, there too, whoever is a mayor should have limited access, not all access. I mean, like I said, we have victims, true victims of
yeah,
assaults or
I think we're
whatever.
understanding that.
nobody, yeah.
Or we arrest
Mr.
them.
Garcia, nobody's disputing inside the police department. That's a mute point.
Limited.
Nobody's disputing inside the police department.
So I think in the motion, it could be as simple as saying that, either the mayor and or the mayor pro tem have access to the security cameras, subject to all applicable public safety and privacy regulations.
It needs to state administrative access,
Administrative access, that'd be good.
because then he'd be able to see who else has camera access in areas they don't belong.
Because I think what we're actually pointing out is that there are people who do have access to the sensitive information that you're discussing that needs to be removed.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're saying I think we're on the same page, because there,
No, absolutely, I agree.
yes.
Officer Phillips, do you have something to say?
Yeah.
I agree with somebody, is doing that, but it should be, look, we're running the police department, there shouldn't be.
100%. There needs to be integrity and there needs to be security for the
We're-
sensitive nature of
we're
information
totally
that's
behind
shared
you
with
on
you.
that.
Back to the radios, if I stop you and I say, hey, I stopped so-and-so, they say, hey, well, she's got a criminal history, and some of that stuff, if you've been arrested as a sexual predator or something like that, you may not want everybody having to listen to the radio kind of party. We should limit who all has access to what that is.
Yeah.
And at least, on that end of it, and I think I need to correct myself, because I said earlier that when the shooting happened, I notified Chief, and Chief asked me to come talk to the mayor about what was going on. So he was gonna go take care of the scene, so I don't wanna be wrong with sitting there saying, well, I don't know how long it took for him to get with it, but the chief was gonna go take care of the scene at the deal. I went and told the mayor, like, hey, this is what happened. So I don't know whether he was, doing that or that. I went and met with the mayor, and I told him, I said, hey, chief was aware of it, whatever, so he was gonna take care of that deal, and that's, so I think there's a little bit of miscommunication, with that. If there's other issues, type deal, but on that particular deal, it's not that, the chief didn't, or neglected it. He was aware of it, and I came and spoke with the mayor about it.
Well, I'm just not saying for that particular incident, but there's been times that
Okay.
stuff been going on that.
I just call that out as an example. I'm not saying that's the
It's most
the
recent.
only
That's
example.
not the case on that deal, and maybe.
But
it's-
you and I do keep in touch pretty regularly, so. But there's some other things that we need to work on.
Just want to clarify, and then with the cameras type deal too, it's like, chief be here, but you guys, should limit who all has access, especially inside the department.
We're on the same page.
Mhm.
I can promise you that.
And this is assets too, and I don't know whether you're talking about computers, or you're talking about body cameras, a lot of stuff that we have.
No.
I mean, it's kind of pretty vague the way this is kind of.
Well, again, if we put everything in writing, we'd have like 150 pages tonight to read out.
This is for discussion, that's why I'm sitting there saying.
Correct.
Something that we need to be specific about it, and I just say.
The motion will be specific, but we can't, assets, I mean, it could be that we have a camera on a boat. Let me just throw something out there that I'm unaware of. So when I made this as an agenda item, I don't know where all the cameras are. I don't need to know.
And it's
But-
not just the cameras, it's just because it says assets, and I'm more worried about.
Understand.
Computers, laptops, and stuff that we have that has. a lot
Yeah,
of
that's not been discussed at all.
Private, that,
so I think
Yeah.
it needs to be more specific to what you wanna have.
The motion that's been presented does not discuss laptops or anything of that nature. It's the security cameras in buildings, in and outside of buildings.
And there again, is it inside the building, inside the police department, or?
Well, again, that's the revision to the motion that she's making. But again, if we write down everything we want to talk about, this will be 150 pages that the mayor has to read, and he's not going to be a fan of that. So, Ms. Branch, if you want to make your motion or refine your motion.
I just said whatever the motion is, that I think the limitation can be to cover the issues that might be there, especially for the police department, would be that you're subject to all applicable public safety and privacy regulations. That should cover you. I mean, that should cover any kind of ill
Right.
intent that someone could possibly, use with this thing, so.
And that the mayor's made an administrative access user.
I make a motion that the mayor is made an administrative
Access user.
access user and that he has full access to all security cameras on property, parks, and other city access except inside the police department where there may be victims or inmates. Does that help you?
It helps out a little bit.
He's sick.
I'm just trying to figure out where we're trying to get with all this, but, I think the stuff, once you go inside your house, you should.
I'll tell you after the meeting.
Okay.
That'll be probably, if we keep on going at this rate, 11 o'clock.
Okay,
Oh, man.
will we have a second?
I said sick.
Mr. Stamps, your vote?
For.
Ms. Newendorf
4.
and Mr. Hill.
4.
And motion carries. Agenda item number 17, discussion and possible action regarding a no-through truck sign be placed on Carroll and Becker Court. Ms. Taylor?
I just want to make a motion to get the sign, because we've been having a semi that's been parked for 7, 8 months, I don't know. And the PD have went and talked to him, but since he's a resident, he still feels that he can park there because there's no sign. So I'm asking for everyone to vote for this because there are kids there. And now that he parks the semi, just not the trailer portion, but just the semi truck, he parks it in his driveway. So therefore, he don't have room to park his other vehicle in his driveway because the semi truck is there. So now he parks it over on the side of the street where some of the residents can't get their trash picked up because
It's blocking.
it's blocking that. His car is blocking where the trash can go. So I'm just asking for council help to get this signed so we can get this resolved, because it has been talked about, like I said, for about 10 months, and the PD has talked to him, gave him a warning and everything. But I'm assuming he's a relative or something because no citations has been given. And they said the citation can't be given because there is no sign per se in that area.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, that's my motion. I'm sorry.
There's a no-through.
Yeah,
truck
right.
sign
I don't know.
on First,
It is.
so I don't think he should be parking there in the neighborhood anyway. That's what I feel.
Well, there's a city ordinance. I don't know how many times that I have to explain this, but there's a city ordinance that there are no 18-wheeler commercial trucks, however you want to put it, to be on any city street unless it's there to deliver or pick up goods. Period, paragraph. You tell everybody whatever. They're not going to write tickets. Wait, right now you can go by Orlando's Pizza, and the truck's there blocking the stop sign. Busy intersection, but guess what? Because there's a no-through truck sign there, they refuse to write citations. So is that your motion?
Yes, ma'am, I say yes.
Second.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
Noondorf,
4.
and Mr. Hill.
4.
Motion carries. We've done 18 already. We've done 19.
According to the invoices, the no-through truck sign has already been ordered, so can we expedite that getting erected?
Oh, so it is?
Well, there's 6 of them, I think, that were ordered.
Oh, okay.
And a bunch of stop signs as well.
Y'all have them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can speak what you say.
Yeah, I'm just not clear on that part, if we already have no through trucks, you know.
Yeah, that was my complaint, because I'm steady asking PD, like, why we can't citate him if it's an ordinance that say we're not supposed to have him on the road. Like I said, I feel like it was more of somebody kin to somebody, or don't touch them because they do this for the community or whatever, because how many times I've asked for this to happen, to, you know, because he was parking it in front of our mailbox, so the mailman had to cattle corner his vehicle to try to put our mail in the box. So it's been a problem, ongoing problem for, like I said, 10 months.
Also, you might want to contact your property owner.
Oh, he knows, because one of the PD, actually, I was on the phone with actually one of the PDs while he actually confronted the property. And he told him he was gonna let him know, I'm gonna talk to him, but like I say, I don't know if it was what kind of talk they had, but it's still going on. So I've been over and back, I would say, with this situation, and hopefully something to get done now, but, yeah, but the property owner knows.
We're putting the no through truck signs on down those streets, we will be putting them on the.
I wanted, where I asked them to put it, you know, like you coming in the duplex right there, because that means if you put one right there, that's for both streets. You don't have to put them on both streets. You can just put them in that one entrance where you come in. And then you have your, like I say, Becker Court is this street. And then you got Carroll Court, and then the new street right there, which is still Becker Court. If you put it right there, like when you coming in, it should, you know, for both areas. So we have to have it on each street, is what you're saying?
No, that's what I want to know, where the placement will we use, because if we already have them up and down, you know.
First Street.
Right.
That's what she's saying. If you put it at the entrance, that should cover the entire neighborhood.
Right, that's what my plans were, but I didn't know where y'all were
Well,
gonna put them.
if the sign's there, then maybe the police can write him a ticket and there won't be any controversy.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay. Our next one is 18,
Well,
19.
19.
Was there a vote on that?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, did y'all
Number
pass it?
17,
Okay.
Yes, we voted.
got a vote on that. And
You seconded it.
number 18, we already done. And
It's 10 p.m. Number 19.
update on animal shelter, work completed and scope of work to be done. Ms. Nundoff.
So the amended agenda says discussion with possible action regarding updates to the animal shelter building regarding work completed and scope of work to be done. I was kind of hoping that maybe we could have some clarification from existing council members as to whenever the animal shelter building was erected, was there a committee that was formed in order to make the decisions on the building?
I wasn't part of it.
It was more of Jones leading it. So I don't know if he had a side committee.
Councilman Jones and Chief Jackson took it upon themselves to do all animal. There was, and still is, because we didn't dissolve, there was a committee formed that was supposed to be Chief Jackson, Ernest Kelly, Julia Stansner, Tammy Livingston, Chris Warthall, and myself.
And did y'all ever meet?
No.
So I think my concerns with the existing building as it stands, probably kind of go along with the same discussion that we just recently had about the previous volunteer fire department building. Whenever that it was chosen to erect that building, I mean, it's directly behind the police department. Is the land that building sits on a part of the police? I mean, a city property? Is it a part of the police department campus?
It's city property.
So I have several concerns. One, that we already have an agreement with the Waller County Animal Control, which we were paying, what is the starting fee? I think it's $22,000. Somewhere in that neighborhood. But then, whenever we spoke with Commissioner Beckendorf, he clarified that $22,000 that was dependent upon how many calls that they receive from a particular area. So if the number of calls from the city of Brookshire, in essence, if they exceed the value of the $22,000, then the city of Brookshire could be billed for that at a later date. So that is not a set price. My major concern.
Sure, that was part of the contract.
Well, I think it's actually $30,000 unless they prorated it.
And I could be, okay.
But I'm saying that's true.
Mhm.
But part of the.
I went to Commissioner's Court and it is not $30,000. It was $20,000, and actually I think it was dropped down to $16,000 because the city of Patterson is not paying that amount because they're smaller and they don't have that much. But once again, it's been failed to be communicated that you can call Waller County Animal Shelter. When I spoke to Chief Guidry, he said, well, we've had Sheriff Guidry, that we've had animal control since January 1st. Well, nobody in the city, me as the animal control person, that was a joke, didn't know that they was picking them up. So how many animals are they picking up? Where is the communication within that? And, most of our dogs in the last maybe 2.5 years, I personally rescued, along with Jessica Warthall, the city's paid for their first vaccinations and waited the wait period of the city ordinance and then surrendered to Bell's Buds.
So I think that kind of goes along with my point, is that I think that we need to be ultra clear as to what the city's role is going to be in that going forward. My concern is that, and this was prior to any election, I mean, this is going back to, almost a year ago now, 9-10 months ago now, where I did have a discussion with a previous individual about the animal shelter, and it was actually immediately following the meeting where council approved that building being built. My concern, and this comes from, so in case anybody wants to know, right out of college, I worked for 10 years in the veterinary industry, worked as a veterinary technician, office manager, and I also worked in corporate management. I managed 17 hospitals, 15 in North Houston, 2 in McAllen. I had 380 employees and about 75 doctors. Over the course of 10 years, I'm very, very well aware of the laws that it pertains to animal rights, animal welfare, and zoonotic disease and public health. So my concern is that we have a $43,000 building that is sitting behind the police department that is nothing more than a pole barn.
Right.
And I have a very nice metal studded building on a concrete slab in my backyard that cost $20,000. I'm going to be very frank and say that I question the integrity of the costs of that building. To have cost $43,000 for wood 4x4s to be anchored into the ground and metal around the side of it with no drainage, no plumbing, no electricity, no insulation. And let's not even get started yet on the fact that the stainless steel kennels that are industry standard for a 10-foot linear section of kennels are $7,000 a piece. We haven't even talked about cinder block runs to hold animals that are larger than about 65 pounds. We haven't talked about drainage to ensure that the drainage is going to uphold biosecurity standards. We haven't talked about a plan for whenever, because not if, it's whenever there is a disease outbreak, Whenever an animal comes into the shelter and all of a sudden we have an outbreak of canine parvovirus or canine distemper virus, feline distemper virus, or any of the other communicable diseases. We haven't talked about a relationship with a local veterinarian and how much that's going to cost. We haven't talked about who pays for the spays and the neuters of the animals, and is it going to be city policy that any animal that comes into the shelter before it leaves must be spayed or neutered or sterilized in some sort of way. We haven't talked about rabies quarantine and the state of Texas laws that requires around that. So with every single bite incident, the first incident that breaks the skin of another human or another animal is a 10-day quarantine. And is the staff going to be appropriately trained on that? A second bite incident is a 45-day quarantine. A third bite incident, according to Texas state laws, the animal has to be euthanized and the head removed from the body, packaged up and sent to Austin for testing for rabies.
Councilwoman Neuendorf.
Yes, ma'am.
We're nowhere close to all the things that you're bringing up.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I think that building should be sold and that we erect a building that is animal friendly, that has concrete floors that can be bleached, concrete walls, places that the dogs can run. That building right there, I'm pretty sure it's not the building that we was showed, first of all.
Well, and that's my concern. And while we sit here and there is I mean, I hesitate to even call it an asset because the barn that my goats are in right now is much nicer than that building.
Right.
But the other thing, though, is that before we even discuss erecting a proper building, I think that we need to maintain the relationship that we have with Waller County currently to figure out some sort of way to communicate that we do have an agreement with Waller County, to your point, and that whenever we do have a better understanding of our budget and what our future needs and goals are, then we can address the possibility of a Brookshire animal shelter. I personally don't feel that the city of Brookshire is anywhere near ready for a proper animal shelter to be operated in the way that it should be operated in. Because I think if we look at that overall cost, it's going to blow some people's minds.
Everybody thinks that we are held. We are not held to the state recommendations for a dog shelter. The man came and talked to us. Because we have to have X amount, and believe me, I don't remember the amount of citizens to have a dog pound. We don't have to meet state requirements. But at some time or another, we're going to have that many citizens. So when we invest in this, even if it's for temporarily shelter and they do move to Waller County, it must be right, like you said.
No, I agree.
You can't put sand down and let somebody come and let them out to go potty every 12 hours. That don't work. I think.
Well, my concern is at the building, because I was here at the meeting whenever the building was presented, and it was presented as essentially a phase one of the project. But a phase one of $43,000 for what's sitting out there right now, something doesn't sit right with me on that. But just when you look at the overall program, though, the overall program, I mean, and I've been out of veterinary hospitals for, I guess, 5 years now. 5 years ago, and this is before inflation and everything else, 5 years ago, a relief veterinarian was costing on the low end $750 a day. If we hire a relief veterinarian to come in 1 day a week, and let's just say that now the going rate is $1,000, we're talking about $52,000 a year to pay a veterinarian to come in 1 day a week to do spays and neuters and vaccines and check on rabies quarantine animals. Where does that fit into the budget? That was never explored. Even as a technician on the low end, I was making $40,000 a year as a veterinary technician.
That's why we done the agreement with Waller County. They're taking care of
Yes,
all
ma'am.
the spade and neuters, and I hate to tell you, but it's way past my bedtime, and I don't mean to rush you, but
I'm asking, what action can we take?
I think we
Can
ought
we-
to sell the building.
can we move to
and
sell the
start
building? What-
from point A?
That
Can I
goes back to
suggest-
selling assets, though. You said that has to be explored properly.
Well,
Can I suggest an alternative option? It was brought to my attention that the Gradall, that is $500,000, is what I was just recently told, is sitting out exposed to the elements. Is there feasibility to move that building over to Public Works? Because all it is literally a pole barn.
It's a pole barn. You can take the metal siding off.
it's
They
not
don't have the
gonna
room.
fit.
Well,
So
I don't know the
have-
layout. That's what I'm saying. Is there feasibility to move it over there?
But the way
Yes,
that the
it's-
building is, you can take the metal siding off, and whenever you move it, you could extend the vertical height of the building.
The Great Hall is as big as an
Yes.
18-wheeler.
It's big.
Maybe, help me more.
It,
It'd be a stretch to even go in the fire department.
well, we gotta find something to do with it, because it's doing us no good sitting there like it is. So, let's just,
Well, then
Yeah,
at
we
that
have
point, we
our
could sell the
options.
asset then and divert the funds to providing a building that would house the Great Hall. Because we already have an agreement with Waller County.
Well,
And I get it that animal control is
we have departments that's renting storage units to put stuff in. That building could be moved and put, if we couldn't sell it.
Was there contracts, like, that you were looking to see what?
I'm glad you asked. There's been multiple people asked for that and not been given it so far.
Is this council intending to do an investigation into this, into the cost of where those, funds went to? Because it's-
I'd be happy to.
There's a future,
misappropriation of funds at least.
there's a future agenda item that will be presented tonight regarding that. Absolutely.
So council, just one thing, I looked up the interlocal agreement, and you were right, it's $20,000, but it was essentially an 18-month contract. Essentially, when you approved it, you were about halfway through this year, but it's $20,000 for this year, but then $20,000 for next year. The county can adjust the cost at any time, though. So that's the terms now.
And the last time I spoke to animal control, they hadn't picked up any dogs.
They had not.
Had not. But once again, it's not being communicated. All's being communicated is, we don't have animal control. But that's a whole total different story, and let's not do it.
okay. Any more discussions?
I mean, is there any action then that we have the freedom to take then? Can we pursue selling this building?
If you want the action to be that, then we'll just say that to the extent allowed by law, we'll sell the building. And it may require an auction process, but there may be another way around that, but generally that's what happens with city assets. We have to auction them off.
I move to pursue selling the current animal shelter building that is behind the police department to the extent allowed by law.
Second.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
Mr. Hill,
4.
Mr. Taylor.
4.
Motion carries. The next one is going to be agenda item number 20. Discussion and possible action regarding accounting for and replacing stop sign, misspelled street signs, hazard signs, and other signs throughout the city. Ms. Noondor.
Yeah, so I put this one on here. I don't even know that this even requires action by the council because, in my opinion, I think that it's a simple directive to Public Works to just investigate with the sign inconsistencies across the city. I know that we had mentioned like Kenny is spelled 3 different ways whenever you go from north to south. In one area, 2nd Street has the numerical version of it, where in another way it's the word second that's spelled out. I know even, Gresham just says Gresham on all the signs. Google Maps says that's Gresham Avenue, but then all other documents like billing and even, points of sale for title purposes say Gresham Road. So I would just love for that to just be maybe a project of some sort that's created by Public Works, or maybe a committee that's formed by Public Works where they just start it. I mean, I printed out, I brought it with me. It's a picture of the map of Brookshire and just start it one end and go down the other, and let's just figure out where the inconsistencies are and fix them. That's it. I don't even
would suggest that they work with the police department that while they're patrolling. They
Absolutely, because I mean, I guess, especially the police department with dispatch, if they have one way that's listed on there, but then Google Maps says something different, and then our signs say something different, that's completely confusing.
The discrepancy as far as we have numbers.
So like whenever you go across the city, we used 2nd Street and Kinney as an example at our last meeting when we were discussing this, but 2nd Street in some areas, the sign says like the 2 with the ND. In other areas, it's the word second spell out. Kinney is spelled some areas it's like Kenny, Kenney, or Kinney.
So what we want to clarify.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want, or does council want the words spelled out as far as the numbers?
Well,
However
we need
it's
to
listed
evaluate.
on the map.
Well, we need to evaluate what 911 has in their system, and that's what the standard needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of those ways, they were actually written out as well as just numeric.
So then if we look at the overall the city with the numbered streets, what are the majority of those currently?
Not many.
Literally, they're like, probably have.
Quite honestly, you could flip a coin and pick one. As long as it's consistent, I don't know that it necessarily matters, as long as it's denoted consistently and it is there and it's visible. The other one that I had brought up, and I think it brought up a point of discussion, was there are some intersections that it's a 4-way intersection with no stop signs. And then you had mentioned that it was voted on that way or something to that nature.
They voted, if you're talking Pratt Street and 5th.
There's several locations if you go from Kinney all the way over past Baines. There's several locations that they're 4-way intersections with no stop sign.
I know of 2.
It just sounds like an accident waiting to happen, and then everybody's going.
So
That's
Where
why
is
the
this at?
dips are there, Amanda.
Well, I know, but I've also heard some people that go flying through that dip, and I'm like, they're probably missing something out from underneath their car, but I guess it must suck to suck. I don't know.
So
That's what we was told, is why.
my biggest concern is there's a lot of faded signs. You can barely tell what they are. There's a lot of poles that are going this way.
There's a stop
There's
sign that
some
was
poles
recently
that are
run
turned
over,
to a totally different street.
I think, over here by Steinhauser.
I mean, to me, this should be, and Mr. Kelly's not here for us to not chastise, but make positive reinforcement suggestions. And when y'all are working in an area, that should be something that's being looked at when you're there. I mean, we should never have a faded sign or algae. There's one sign that looks like it's been underwater in the ocean for a while. It's grown over so much. I'm going, what's up with that? So whatever needs to happen so we get these signs, the wording straightened out, the sign, especially the signs that are faded, or the poles that have nothing on them, like what used to be there. What are we potentially missing as a hazard to someone that's not there? So if y'all can, whatever the action item needs to be, especially signs that are missing and faded, let's get those addressed.
In terms of the stop sign, dip or no dip, I just think that if if you have a stop sign there, there's no question. Traffic is just only going to increase in our area. We've already seen traffic increasing in our area, and I think that if we have the proper signage, and then in terms of when there is an accident in the area, then there's no question as to who could potentially be at fault, which would hopefully make the lives of our police department a little bit easier. But yes, I think it's just maybe something where if we could just, one delegated action item would be to scope through the city, find out where the problems are, let's just get them fixed. And then going forward, if we notice that there's problems, that they just get corrected.
We just paid a whole lot of money for Gunda to do a transportation study, and I think they probably should.
If they already have a list of it, then maybe Guna could supply that list to Public Works, and that would make your life easier. I love collaboration. I'm a big fan.
Okay, any further discussion?
Mayor, Councilwoman Neuendorf's right that this doesn't have to necessarily be a council item. If you just have a directive to staff to create a sign inventory, with the parameters that they've discussed, that's something you can do on your own.
Okay.
Well, I'd like for that to be a rolling agenda item until it's fixed. That way it doesn't get lost in the weeds with other projects.
Okay. I'm going to put down the mail we got, Public Works with all of the requests on this item. If that's fine. Okay. Agenda item number 21, discussion and possible action regarding invoice payments and reports.
To save another hour of everyone's time, none of the department heads are here because they all decide to go to training at the same time. And there's a lot of questions I know I have, so I'd rather see this tabled.
Second.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
Ms. Newendorf,
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
This item is tabled. And agenda item number 22, discussion and possible action regarding city council meeting minutes, January the 6th, 2022, February the 7th, 2022, February the 17th, 2022, and March 3rd, 2022.
Mayor, I asked for this to be postponed last time, and I'd like to make a motion that we approve minutes January 6th, 2022, February 7th, February 17th, and March 3rd, all in the year of 2022.
Second.
I'll take Stamps. Ms. Newendorf?
Abstain.
Mr. Hill?
Same, was not on the council at the time.
And you, Ms. Taylor?
4.
Motion carries. Let's go to agenda item number 23. Take it easy.
Let me go first. Let me go first. They gonna get it.
Yeah, I know.
I make a motion, nobody
I
says
just have
anything.
one. I just have one.
It's not allowed.
Okay, you have one simple one?
Yes.
Let's have it.
So my discussion and possible action on getting Public Works to give me some dates on the digging the ditches, because I have a couple of residents that have been calling, complaining that their ditches have not been dug out and they have seen others. So do y'all have like a list of dates to where y'all will be coming to those areas? That's what,
Ms. Taylor,
so you can have it.
would you be willing to amend that? Because that was one of my agenda items too. Not only the ditches, the maintenance of them, and the grass maintenance of parks, all as one agenda item to discuss where we're
Okay.
at. and
Before
where we're
y'all
going.
go too far, let's be fair to say that some of those ditches got dug.
I know, that's what I'm
No.
saying.
Water District went and messed them back up, and they had to start over and redig those ditches.
So the areas that I'm
Just as
consistent
long-
of, no, they haven't got dug. That's why I'm asking for dates for those areas.
The maintenance of parks and grass ditches.
Are working street by street.
Okay,
So we are on 4th and we're coming down.
okay, so question then. First Street
Councilman,
at
what's
the-
up?
We
Yeah.
could
We
vote on the
can't talk about-
motion.
we
We can't
gotta-
discuss it.
Yeah.
So
Let him bring his.
We can
plan
vote on
to
the motion, and so basically you're asking for them to provide dates on getting the ditches dug, so then they can provide that update or the report at the next
Okay.
meeting. You see?
Okay.
Did you second it? Or I thought I heard somebody
No, he
second.
said just take, well, he wanted to do all it together, so you can put that on one.
Yeah, I guess operations of Public Works, we want to simplify the agenda item. Discussion and possible action, operation of Public Works.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done.
So discussion of possible action on operations of Public Works.
Correct.
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
Mr. Hill,
4.
and Ms. Branch.
4.
Okay. Mr. Stamps, you got any?
None, sir.
You sure?
Food is calling my name.
I hear you.
Me too.
I don't feel well. I'm starting to
Yeah, I
feel sick.
Okay. Uh-oh. Ms. Newendorf?
I would like an update on the animal shelter building asset being listed, I guess, by the next meeting.
With discussion and possible action, or just an update?
Well, I mean, the action that we took tonight was to pursue.
Just an update. You want an update next about what we can do with it, either sell it or. what
I'll,
the next
I'll
step-
say it this way then. Okay, I'll say discussion and possible action in case there is the update that you or anybody else would provide would allow us for any action. That way we can have said action. So discussion and possible action regarding the animal shelter building sale.
Okay.
Period. I said that with a question mark.
Right. Any more?
Nobody wanted to second it?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to go.
Y'all
I'm like, this is step. It's time to go.
You do not understand that Robert's Rule is my favorite in the whole wide world, so.
Yeah, we've noticed, Miss Newendorf.
I train chapter conducting teams.
Kim, it don't matter, me or whichever one, me or Kim.
Hey, Ms. Taylor, your vote?
4.
Mr. Hill? 4. And Mr. Stamps?
4.
Okay.
That is all at this time for myself.
What?
That is all at this time for myself.
Okay, Mr. Hill.
Discussion and possible action regarding functions of the Youth Action Committee.
Action Committee?
Second.
Is it the Youth Action Youth Advisory Committee?
I don't know, because I've seen it,
There's
Youth Action
5 names.
Council,
That's advisory,
So whatever's the legal name,
youth advisory council.
Youth Advisory Council.
I've heard them called Youth City Council. There's all sorts of
Advisory
names.
council and commission.
So it's council
Okay,
and
did we have a
commission.
second?
Yeah.
I second it.
Right. Ms. Taylor?
4.
Mr. Hill? No, yeah. No, you Stamps, I'm sorry.
4.
I got me all crossed. Where?
4.
Better go to it now.
Mr. Hill, what else you have?
Discussion and possible action regarding hosting an emergency management plan workshop.
Emergency plan workshop.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
4.
Ms. Newendorf?
4.
And Mr. Stamps?
4.
When ready.
Discussion and possible action regarding the use of positive pay on city payroll checks.
Second. The time you go to the bank, you can't cash your check.
Wait a second. Ms. Taylor?
4.
Ms. Newendorf?
4.
And you, Mr. Stamps?
4.
Discussion and possible action regarding agenda packets being placed on the city website.
Second.
Four.
Mr. Stamps?
4.
And Ms. Newendorf?
4. I'm sorry, I was just notified that 2 of my students were killed.
Oh my God.
No.
Mr. Hill?
2 more. Discussion and possible action regarding conducting a forensic audit paid for either by our tax pool funds or any other resources we may have.
Second.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
Ms. Lindo,
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
Last one, discussion and possible action with possible executive session to discuss department heads.
Second.
Ms. Taylor,
4. Oh, this.
Ms. Lindo,
4.
and Mr. Stamps.
4.
Agenda item number 20, I didn't miss anyone, right?
Ms. Branch, did you have any?
Oh, yes, I guess I should.
That's awkward.
Thanks, Mayor Branch. But just for that, I have none at this time. If you'd hurry up and read that next something.
Be quiet.
No, we got one more before that.
You got 2 more to go.
Yeah.
Agenda item number 24 is council reports and community announcement. Mr. Stamps, you have any?
No, sir.
Ms. Newendorf?
None.
Mr. Hill?
None.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes, our Juneteenth weekend celebration is coming up. It's going to be held June the 17th through the 19th. June the 17th, we will be having a gospel concert. It will be held at the hangar at 7 p.m. June the 18th, we will have a parade that morning. The lineup will start at Brookshire PD. We will leave that at 10. We will start at 10, and then we will be going to the Hovis Park, and that will last from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And on June 19th, Father's Day, we also have a band at the park from 12 to 6.
Okay, any more?
That's it. Yep.
Anyone else?
I'm good.
Okay, agenda item number 25, adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Hill?
Can we vote by general consent on adjournment?
You don't have to
Mr.
vote
Hill?
on it. By the way, you don't have to vote on adjournment. The mayor could dismiss the meeting
Ms.
if you wanted.
Ms. Newendorf?
4.